There's no need to look for broken iron shoes. It won't take any effort to obtain them. There's no need to look for broken iron shoes. It won't take any effort to obtain them. I've searched for Thunder Dragon Temple Secret Realm for several months, but to think that it would be here. If it wasn't for the explosion just now, I really wouldn't have been able to find him. The man in charge wore a cold smile on his face. Brothers, attack. Leave that woman to me. As he spoke, he glanced at the woman beside him. She still had a scar on her face. And then, a dozen or so Blood Refinement Sect disciples quickly surrounded Nyodahai and his group. Nyodahai's brows tightened and said, Xianjian Sect and the Blood Refinement Sect have always minded their own business. How about this? Not waiting for him to finish, a disciple rushed forward and kicked Fatty Nyo's leg, shouting, Stop talking to us about those useless things. Hurry up and hand over the treasure. Nyodahai's eyes turned sinister. The disciple kicked again and shouted, What, you want to fight me? You should take a look at the current situation. He was extremely pleased with himself. Yuan Ling said coldly, The secret realm collapsed. We didn't find any treasures. The man in charge walked over and said, Don't you have any treasures? In my eyes, you are a treasure, refining you into a blood slave. You are the perfect treasure. After he finished speaking, he took a step forward and extended his hand out, wanting to grab Yuan Ling's face. It was also at this moment Yuan Ling raised his eyebrows and his sword flashed. A sword struck out. Buzz. The man suddenly retreated. A piece of his sleeve was cut off, and an evil smile appeared on his forehead. He smiled obscenely. So hot, I like it. Brothers, gather that fatty's body. If he doesn't have any treasures, then we'll kill him. As for this woman, hee, it's mine. As soon as he finished, the man suddenly moved. He held a handful of powder in his hand and violently scattered it. It was too fast. The blood-red powder quickly entered Yuan Ling's nose. Yuan Ling wanted to dodge, but she was too late. Her speed was simply too fast, and she did not expect it to be so despicable. As the blood refinement art entered her nose, her brain immediately sunk. All of the energy in her body dispersed, and her body began to soften. Yuan Ling was furious. She attacked with her sword at full power at the man. However, her strength could not be unleashed at all. Her entire body was powerless, and she was on the verge of collapsing. Ha ha ha. Little beauty, you are mine now. The man dodged Yuan Ling's sword and landed beside her to grab onto Yuan Ling's chin. He laughed lewdly. What a beauty! The lady with the scar on her face was Nangong Yen, the one who was taken away by the Blood Refinement Sect last time. Her face was incomparably cold, her lips a purple red, as she coldly said, Luo Xiao, can't you use some other method? Always so despicable. The man was called Luo Xiao, the one who chased after the 3 Lu Luoshi sisters last time in Fireglass Mountain Range was also him, and the one who took Nangong Yen away was also him. Luo Xiao laughed sinisterly. I only know how to be despicable, junior sister apprentice Yen. I have never been despicable to you before. Could it be that you still want me to be despicable to other women? Ha ha! Nangong Yen coldly snorted and stood to the side and did not speak further. Luo Xiao was a little unhappy in his heart, but he did not explode. He had originally wanted to bring Nangong Yen back to the Blood Refinement Sect and play with her like she was his plaything, but he didn't expect the sect master to take a fancy to her and take her in as a closed-door disciple. Their identities were instantly different. He could not move Nangong Yen at all. Little beauty, you should be more obedient. It won't be long before you can't leave me. Luo Xiao struck the back of Yuan Ling's head with his palm, took out a gunny sack, and put it on. Ha ha ha! Nyo Dahai was furious beyond compare. Before he could even rush forward, he was already stopped by dozens of swords. Luo Xiu sneered and said, "I'll ask you again. Hand over the treasure." Nyo Dahai's eyes became angry. "I will hand over your 18 generations of ancestors." Then, his fist surged as he charged forward madly. He grabbed the sack containing Yuan Ling and rushed out. He shouted to Yuan Ba, who was in the pit, "Yuan Ba, run!" Yuan Ba acted as if he didn't hear it. He continued to dig the ground. His 10 fingers were badly mutilated, but he never stopped. It really was a looby. Luo Xiu's eyes turned sinister, and he sneered, "Run? Let's see where you can run to." "Finished," Luo Xiu shouted. "Go, play with them to death." Then Luo Xiu walked to Nangong Yan's side and said sinisterly, "Junior sister apprentice, sect master has spoken. He wanted you to kill a few sect disciples and train yourself. Do you need my help? As long as you agree to dual cultivate with me, I'll be happy to help you with such a small matter, even if it means killing that ice beauty." Nangong Yan said coldly, "You don't need to meddle in my matters." "Ha ha!" Luo Xiu laughed sinisterly and said, "If that's the case, don't blame me for not reminding you. You are only 1 day away from the mission deadline. If you can't complete the mission, you should just wait for your punishment." Then, Luo Xiu chased after him and said to Nyo Dahai, "Damn, fatty, I want to see how fast you can run." Nangong Yen stood in place, his eyes incomparably cold and sinister. There had been too many things that happened in the past half-year, but the source of all this was Long Fei. He was once his fiancé, but now he was their nemesis. It was all because of him. She hated Long Fei to the bones. Huff! Nangong Yen let out an icy breath, looked at Lubi Yuan Ba, who was in the deep pit, and shot a cold glance. His killing intent flashed past. However, in that instant, the killing intent disappeared. She only wanted to kill one person, Long Fei. Nyo Dahai panted like a cow, his heart burning with anxiety. Boss, are you still alive? This is your woman. She needs your protection." Nyo Dahai risked his life, but his 250 kilograms of body, coupled with the fact that he couldn't run fast enough while carrying Yuan Ling, looked like he was about to be caught. Whoosh! A long sword shot out, directly sealing Nyo Dahai's path. Luo Xiu flew down, his footsteps like lightning, and shouted, "Damn fatty, run again!" Buzz! Buzz! Blood-sea palm. Both of his hands revealed a hint of scarlet, bloody glow as he slashed at Nyo Dahai's back. Nyo Dahai did not have the time to defend as his body sank down and heavily received these 2 palms. He leaned forward and fell to the ground, but he still protected Yuan Ling, who was in the sack with all his might. Luo Xiu took a step forward and stomped his foot on Nyo Dahai's stomach. "Pa! Xianjian, sex trash! You dare to steal my woman? You damn fatty, are you even worthy?" Nyo Dahai spat out a mouthful of blood and said angrily, "Grandson, fight it out if you dare." "Ha ha ha!" Luo Xiu laughed out wildly, increased his strength, and ruthlessly stepped on Nyo Dahai's stomach, saying, "Let's fight one-on-one. Fight one-on, come. Fight one-on." Equals semi, / floating life plus. Nyo Dahai constantly spat out blood. In the distance, with a loud noise, a figure flew out from the depths of the ground. The first chapter thanks the brothers for their bounty. 8_8419/2356577. Long Fei rushed out. Long Fei rushed out. At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Feier's thanks when the Thunder Dragon Rod has leveled up to a holy artifact. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining the Elven Alchemy technique. Do you wish to cultivate it? Huh. The moment he was forced out, 2 system notifications rang out. Feier's voice traveled into Long Fei's mind and said, "This is to thank you for saving me. When you return me to the fairy clan, I will give you even more good things." The playful voice disappeared. Long Fei impatiently opened up the system to check. Weapon, Thunder Dragon Rod rank, Holy Artifact description, possessing the power of the 8 Long Lei Pavilion, increasing the killing range to 50 meters. 8 Dragon's Fury, sweeping across all 4 directions. Cooldown time, 24 hours. Description 2. Randomly deals with the power of the group attack of Fury of the Elves. It is 10 times stronger than the group attack of the 8 Thunder Dragons. Wow! Long Fei was excited. After the Thunder Dragon Rod leveled up to a holy artifact, it was completely different. Its power had risen by 1 level, and it had also carried the effect of Fury of the Elves. Then he looked at the Fairy Alchemy technique. Long Fei's idea move. It's all alchemy techniques. What's the difference? Cultivate. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 experience points for cultivating elf alchemy techniques. True Chi 100 points, 100 points reward. Skill path, Fairy Alchemy grade. Secret skill consumption, proficiency, description. This alchemy technique is a secret technique of the elves. It can be used to refine pellets that are not available in the world. Double attack pellet, double experience elixir, invisibility pellet, higher grade pellet, blood vein pellet. After reading these descriptions, Long Fei was completely unable to calm himself down. He had never heard of these pills before. Did he have to be so awesome? Double attack pill, double the experience elixir. This is too awesome. Long Fei thought to himself. With double the experience elixir, leveling up would be twice as fast. First level would change into 2 levels, and then 3 years. You don't even need 3 years to fight your way up to the Heaven Sect. Ha ha ha. Excited. This time, he had earned a lot by entering the Thunder Dragon Temple's secret realm. Not only had he obtained a few holy artifacts, he also obtained this alchemy technique. It was also at this time. Suddenly, Long Fei felt an ice-cold killing intent. Not far away, there was a black, cloaked man standing. Her chi was very cold. Her eyes stared straight at Long Fei. In that moment, a blood light flashed. Long Fei, give me your life. Nangong Yen. She did not leave because she did not want to see the scene of Luo Xiu violently attacking Yuan Ling. She did not expect to actually see Long Fei again. The hatred in his heart surged as he stabbed his sword between Xiang Longfei's eyebrows. This time, although they had been separated by more than a month, her cultivation had already reached the 7th level of the War Chief. Furthermore, under the guidance of the sect master of the Blood Refinement Sect, her cultivation, sword techniques, and mentality had undergone a huge breakthrough. This sword strike was extremely sharp and directly locked onto Long Fei's forehead. Long Fei's heart trembled. My fiancé, Nangong Yen? Looking at Nangong Yan's sword, he let out a light breath and said, "Murdering my husband again." And then, Long Fei suddenly took out a huge coffin. Boom! The coffin landed on the ground and shook violently. Then a wave of energy exploded outwards. Long Fei's forehead turned sinister as he said, "Xianming's sword, let me see your power." Shua! A sword flew out from the coffin and landed in Long Fei's hands. Facing Nangong Yan's sword, Long Fei took a step forward, broken sword style. Shua! One move. Clang! Clang! Flames flew in all directions, and the sword in Nangong Yan's hand broke. It fell down. Just how terrifying was the might of a holy artifact. Even a heaven-ranked spirit sword was useless. It was cut off just like before. Long Fei pointed his sword at Nangong Yan's throat, looked at the long scar on her face, and sighed. He did not make a move. He did not kill the women, and seeing the scar on Nangong Yan's face, his heart ached slightly. For a woman to become like this, although it was Nangong Yan's fault, Long Fei still had a lot of responsibility. Nangong Yan said coldly, "If you want to kill me, then kill me." She thought she had become stronger. However, in front of Long Fei, she was still too weak. Long Fei said, "I won't kill you, you can go." With a move of his right hand, the Xian Ming sword in his hand flew straight into the coffin sword sheath. It was extremely sharp, and Long Fei was completely unable to feel the aura of a sword from the coffin. When the Xian Ming sword fell into the sword sheath coffin, the sword spirit refined by Long Fei flew out. Generally, the sword spirit swallowed the sword, but it was different here. When the sword spirit flew out, it was instantly devoured by the Xian Ming sword. It was as if a small stone had been thrown into the ocean. There was not the slightest bit of reaction. It was too terrifying. The Yan Huang ancestor laughed. "The sword spirit condensed from the spirit gathering pearl is too weak. It is not a match for the Xian Ming sword. You need to use your own sword intent to refine the sword spirit. Otherwise, you will still be devoured by the Xian Ming sword." Yan Huang ancestor kept him in suspense for a while. Indeed, it was a huge sarcophagus, nearly 3 meters long. Its entire body was carved with ancient runes. To Long Fei, this sarcophagus felt extremely strange. However, Long Fei was unable to sense the properties of the sarcophagus sword sheath. Nangong Yen stared at the huge sarcophagus, then looked at the deep pit of the Thunder Dragon's secret realm, and laughed bitterly in her heart. "You have had a fortuitous encounter." Long Fei said indifferently, "I guess so." Actually, Nangong Yen suddenly interrupted Long Fei and said coldly, "Long Fei, the next time we meet, I will definitely kill you. I swear it." Finished. Nangong Yan's feet moved. Landing 100 meters away, he said to Long Fei, "Your friend was captured by the blood refinement sect. You are in a hurry to save him now." Finished. Nangong Yan's feet moved, and she fell into the forest. This time, she did not return to the blood refinement sect. So even if she was cultivating in the blood refinement sect, she would not be a match for Long Fei. She wanted to walk her own path. "Just you wait, Long Fei. I will definitely prove myself. I will definitely get my revenge." Nangong Yen disappeared. Long Fei didn't care about it anymore, as his heart sank. The blood refinement sect. It was also at this time. In the deep pit, Yuan Ba raised his head and looked at Long Fei, grinning as if he was an idiot. His hands were dripping with blood. Fresh blood constantly dripped down, and it was as if he could not feel any pain. Seeing that Long Fei was still alive, Yuan Ba laughed innocently like a child who had gotten his hands on candy. Long Fei also saw Yuan Ba, saw the huge pit beside him, and saw his hands bleeding nonstop. He knew what Yuan Ba was doing just now. Equals half carrot float, hashtag. Hashtag life carrot, his heart ached. "Luby! Yuan Ba, are you willing to follow me?" Long Fei asked. "Will the mission be completed?" Chapter 28_8419/2356578. Yuan Ba nodded his head, then shook it again. Yuan Ba nodded his head, then shook it again. Obviously, without the system beep, the mission was still incomplete. Long Fei thought in his heart, "What exactly are you hiding in your heart? I don't believe it. Luby, I must surrender you." Not waiting for him to speak, Long Fei was the first to speak. "Don't answer me so quickly. I will give you time to consider. But before that, can you be my sword servant?" Yuan Ba quickly nodded and said, "Me is willing. Come up and carry this sarcophagus." Let's go save the big sea bull. Long Fei laughed excitedly as he looked into the depths of the forest. The blood refining sect, right? I'm going to kill you. One-on-one. Damn. Fatty, are you still going to duel? Luo Xiao stepped on the fatty's face with his foot, pushing Niu Dahai's face into the mud, and said arrogantly, "Do you still dare to challenge this daddy? F***CK. A damn fat pig like you dares to make a ruckus with your father. Who the hell do you think you are?" Luo Xiao was very arrogant. He had suppressed a bellyful of anger at Nan Gongyan's place, and now all of it was pouring down onto his body. Niu Dahai's entire body was covered in blood, and his face was extremely pale. Furthermore, he had been injured by the dark spirit Magus King in the beginning, and now he had no way to fight back. However, Niu Dahai was still strong. Even if his face was stepped into the mud, he was still arrogant and scolded, "Grandson, if you dare kill me, if you can't kill me today, I'll send you to hell tomorrow." Bullshit. Luo Xiao's eyes shook. "You dare be arrogant. Your Xianjian sect disciples' mouths are really crazy. I want to see how crazy your mouth is." While they were talking, he grabbed a blood corpse from his arms and laughed coldly. "Do you know what this is? Blood corpse. This is a top-quality item. Refining this blood corpse has crippled me for half a year. Today, I'll let you have a good time first." Ha! The blood corpse was about the size of his pinky and had the appearance of a caterpillar. However, once swallowed, the blood corpse would quickly drill into the brain, eat the brain, and then control the person. It was extremely terrifying. Even the faces of the blood refinement sect disciples changed slightly. Niu Dahai naturally knew what a blood corpse was as well. Closing his mouth tightly, he roared angrily and said, "Fuck your ancestors." "Ha ha! Isn't your mouth very arrogant? Open your mouth, but not your mouth, right?" Luo Xiao's gaze turned sinister as he stomped heavily on Niu Dahai's face, pressing heavily onto the ground, and said, "Let's see how hard you're going to be." He grabbed the blood corpse and put it into Niu Dahai's mouth. It was also at this moment Yuan Ba. "Here." Yuan Ba fiercely shook the sarcophagus sword sheath on his back. Boom. In addition, the bronze-like muscles on his body seemed as if they would burst the chainmail at any moment. At the same time, his nearly 3-meter-tall body caused the coffin to shake. Unrivaled, domineering, and unparalleled, Long Fei moved. Xianming sword. Shua. A sword flew out. This time was different. This time, it was an enormous broadsword. The sword itself was more than 2 meters long and half a meter wide. It was as black as ink. It was a black sword. Long Fei's heart trembled and started to boil. Damn, this Xianming sword is not a sword. It's too awesome. I like this huge sword. As soon as he finished, Long Fei held onto the long sword hilt and suddenly slashed horizontally. Crack! Luo Xiao's head dropped to the ground. As he tumbled down, blood spurted out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Blood Refinement Sect disciple Luo Xiao for obtaining 800 experience, 800 true chi, 100 energy values, 10 points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the demonic technique Blood Corpse Refining Technique and releasing its cultivation. 1 sword kill. Too fast, too fierce, too sharp. Beneath the Xianming sword, Luo Xiao of the War Chief was like a cabbage. First kill. Long Fei retracted his sword. Moonlit step. Shua. He leaped into the air, and with a slash of his great sword, another Blood Refinement Sect disciple was sliced in half. Second kill. A bloody light flashed as the huge sword slashed out again. Third killing strike. Boom. The power in Long Fei's body sunk, With one hand he sent the huge sword flying, and killed another disciple. Fourth killer. The sword stabbed into the tree. The cooldown time for teleportation ended. Shwa. With a step, he landed on the giant sword and grabbed the sword hilt. Then, he fell from the sky and slashed down. Fifth kill. In less than 3 seconds, 5 kills. Swift as lightning, Long Fei roared in his heart. Fuck, I'm only asking one question. Who else is there? It was at this moment that the disciples of the blood refinement sect finally reacted. The rest of them ran off, hating the fact that the old lady had given birth to less than 2 legs. Trying to run? The blood refinement sect, my ancestor. Nyo Dahai crawled up from the ground and hugged a blood refining sect disciple. His fists were like thunder, using all his strength to punch out with all his might. You want to bully me with your numbers? You must be arrogant, right? The disciple who was being beaten had stars in his eyes. He said, It's not me, it's Luo Shou. It's not me. You hit the wrong person. Nyo Dahai was filled with anger. This old man will just ask you one question. Are you a disciple of the blood refinement sect? That disciple said, I am, but I didn't touch you, right? Just do it. Nyo Dahai rode on top of the man's body like a shrew, firmly suppressing the person below him with a weight of 250 kilograms, fiercely punching him with his fists. I don't care if you move. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. He was filled with anger. There was no other way. Now that he had the chance, he definitely wouldn't let it go. He picked up a stone from the ground and fiercely threw it at that person. At this time, he did not care about the image of a fighter. He just wanted to vent. Yuan Ba, if you stay here, I'll chase you down. Long Fei did not linger at all, looking at the injuries on Nyo Dahai's body and Yuan Ling, who was wrapped in a gunny sack. He was even more furious in his heart. Move my people. I'll let you know that even if I, Long Fei, am the king of hell, I cannot afford to offend him. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. There was no pause at all. The broadsword in her hand was like the javelin in the hands of the leopard girl, locking on to its target as she sent her sword flying. 6th annihilation. 7th killing strike. 8th killing strike. 13th kill. After killing the last blood refining sect disciple, Long Fei gripped his broadsword with one hand and roared with incomparable dominance. Who else? Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing blood refinement sect disciples, for obtaining 500 experience points, for 100 true chi, 100 energy values, and 100 points. As long as he killed the disciples of the devil sect, he would get points. Equals half carrot float hashtag. Hashtag life carrot. If Long Fei entered the demonic cultivation state, killing the sect disciples would also earn him points. Had never bothered with the points all along. This time, the system continuously exploded, and the word points caused Long Fei's heart to tremble. He thought to himself, I almost forgot points can be exchanged for things, can even be drawn, and can enter the cultivation state. What's the exchange point? Chapter 38_8419/2356579. After the credit exchange system appeared, Long Fei was excited for a while. After the credit exchange system appeared, Long Fei was excited for a while. However, points to exchange. That was a huge wave of points. The smallest were over 10 million. There was no way to exchange them. He didn't even have 50,000 points, so he naturally couldn't exchange for much. However, but now it was different. He had thought of a good way to earn points. Opening the points system, Long Fei looked at the items placed in the shop, his saliva continuously flowing out as he muttered, Can we rob them? If it can be robbed, then I really will be a robber. All good things. Furthermore, they were basically all useless things in this world. Just blood vein S alone were all sorts of things, such as Tyrant Dragon blood vein, Arhut blood vein, Thunder blood vein, and there were even Tathagata blood vein and Pathless blood vein. There was no need to mention weapons. They were all supreme holy artifact. However, seeing the points they needed, Long Fei's entire body went into a bad state. 42,000 points, not even worth a fart. Long Fei cursed. He felt that he would be a poor man if he played. The idea moved. Long Fei said excitedly, "Let's see how many points the Dragon Salyer is worth right now." Ding! The mission items are not convertible. Damn! Where's the Thunder Dragon Rod? Ding! The mission items are not convertible. All right, then the Thunder Snake Sword will do, right? The Thunder Snake Sword can be used to exchange for credit point. Do you want to exchange it? Heaven-ranked magic weapon is only worth 50,000 points. F***CK. Did you know I almost lost my life killing Dark Spirit Mage King? Not exchanging. Long Fei didn't even think about it. However, inwardly, he thought, looks like there's a way to earn more points. In the future, if I kill more people and trade them for all sorts of equipment, then that would be great. Let's see how many Death-Calling God Seal can be exchanged. Long Fei moved. Death-Calling God Seal S can be exchanged for credit point S. Do you want to exchange them? Ha ha ha. A good thing is a good thing. It can be exchanged for 1,000,000 points. Long Fei said in a domineering manner, "No, this father will kill you with anxiety." System. Long Fei laughed. "This is an awesome holy artifact that can summon the King of Hell. If not for him today, I probably would have died inside. Moreover, wouldn't it be even more shameless if we summon the Yellow Springs Great Emperor to play around next time?" The fighting strength of Hades was overwhelming. With just a few swipes from the judge, the Dark Spirit Shaman King was already stunned. His health fell by a few million, and Hades was still not the strongest fighter. The strongest should be the Yellow Springs Great Emperor. 1,000,000 points, great. The idea moved and thought, the Xian Ming sword, look and say more about the points. The Xian Ming sword, including the sword sheath, can be exchanged with other credit point. Do you want to exchange them? 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. 10,000,000. Long Fei was grinning from ear to ear. 10,000,000 points. Oh, shopping, I can't take it anymore. My heart, liver, spleen, and kidneys are all in pain. Ding. Do you want to exchange for it? Ding. Do you want to exchange for it? Ding. Do you want to exchange for it? The system sounded out 3 times. Do you want to exchange? Long Fei laughed like an idiot. No, 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 you won't trade. There will be a time when you will be in a rush. I will kill you quickly, but I won't trade. While they were talking, Long Fei had even started dancing. System. Awesome. Awesome. Big Bro is someone who has tens of millions of points on him right now. I can use those points to exchange for something heaven-defying in the next few minutes. Long Fei laughed proudly. Of course. Death-Calling God Seal S were definitely unable to exchange for points. Based on his understanding of the game, the holy artifact that you can exchange for will be sold for several times the price in the blink of an eye. The system was the same. Looking at the 40,000 points he had, it was sufficient for him to enter the demonic cultivator state. However, we have to do something, right? Long Fei's heart trembled. The lottery. Right. It's the lottery. Immediately, Long Fei moved again, once again entering into the points system, then entering into the lottery interface. Ding. Welcome to the Gambling City's interface. Player, Long Fei. Have fun. Great rewards, just depends on how you play. Long Fei was dizzy. It really is a huge gambling city. There are gambling everything, but he is still happy to be loyal to the slot machines and fishing machine gambling machines. How do we play? System. Please recharge the price first. The lowest exchange limit is 1,000 points. Ugh. It's just like buying money in real life. It's really human-like. This system is one with leisure and entertainment, but I don't know if there are any red light districts. Long Fei laughed. Let's exchange for 10,000 points first. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for exchanging for 10,000 points. As soon as his voice faded, Long Fei's points instantly decreased by 10,000 points. System, please choose your play method. Long Fei said, let's try our luck first, fishing machine S. The fishing machine was exactly the same as it was in reality. Even the fish seeds inside were the same. The only difference was as long as you caught a fish and didn't get any points, it was actually something else. 10,000 chips for everything. Only 100 bullets? Long Fei forced out a bitter laugh and chose to use the smallest one shot to shoot a few more times. Not a single one. Change the cannons. It soared straight to the level 5 cannon emplacement. Boom, boom, boom. The third shot. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining healing pill. Long Fei. After a moment of bewilderment, he cursed, System, what the hell? How dare you put such trash in there? Your brain must be filled with water. I want to return the money. I don't want to play anymore. The system completely ignored him. All right. Long Fei looked at the image of a golden dragon on the fishing machine. Wow, isn't beating this guy to death just making it go berserk? Bang, bang, bang. Increase your strength. He didn't want to let go. Half a minute later, there were no more bullets. Furthermore, the one that was right in the middle of the fishing machine today was mocking Long Fei. What a joke, you want to beat me to death. Dream on. Come hit me, come hit me. Hurry up and hit me. Being looked down on by a dragon. And it's even a dragon from the fishing machine S. This guy wiggled his, and danced, ridiculing Long Fei. Uncle can bear it. I can't tolerate it. I'll exchange it for another 10,000 points. The moment Long Fei's temper flared up, he didn't care whether this was a trap or not. How can you kill such a golden dragon just because you want to? It was too difficult. If a golden dragon was worth 10,000 points, then you would have to spend at least 100,000 points to get it. Long Fei forgot about this in his anger. 10,000 points exchanged. Another volley. Boom, boom, boom. The white bullet was gone again. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Exchange for another 10,000 points. 36-0 search. Half floating / equals. Exchange for another 10,000 points. Pa, pa, pa. There was only 1 out of 100 bullets left, and that was the net of the final little guy. Chapter 48_8419/2356580. A LV1 cannon emplacement can't be beaten to death. A LV1 cannon emplacement can't be beaten to death. Long Fei raged. Exchange for another 10,000. Ding. Not enough points. Currently, player Long Fei has 2,190 points remaining, unable to exchange for points. Damn. Why is there only 2,000 points left? Long Fei was puzzled. 2 minutes ago, he still had 40,000 points, but now he only had 2,000. Long Fei sat on the chair. System, what's wrong with you? Long Fei, can't I have liver pain? System. Then, the system reminded him. Players can use holy artifact to exchange for points. Do you want to exchange for them? Exchange your grandpa. Are you still staring at my holy artifact? Long Fei scolded. I will not exchange even if I die. System. If that's the case, then please leave. We do not entertain poor people. He was being looked down upon, being despised by the dragon, and now being despised by the system. Long Fei really wanted to smash the fishing machine and said angrily, Who is the poor guy? Didn't you see that lousy still has one more bullet to shoot? Are you blind? System. That golden dragon wriggled its tail and proudly danced again. What a joke! Come hit me. Come hit me. Come quickly and hit me. It was completely controlled by the system. Long Fei wanted to cry, but no tears came out. 10 bets, 9 bets. All of this is just a trap. F*CK. You, system, why do you have to trick Lousy like this? Today, I finally understand. Sigh. Long Fei exhaled helplessly. Come hit me. Come hit me. What a joke. Come hit me. That golden dragon had a cheap look as it stared at Long Fei and wriggled its tail. Long Fei really wanted to exchange the holy artifact for something so that he could kill it. No matter what, he had his bottom line. Long Fei stood up and stared at the golden dragon. Good, you have guts, you are awesome. Finished. Long Fei's fist struck the button and shot out the last bullet. He turned around and left and said fiercely, I won't come here next time, even if I die. At this moment, suddenly, a woo. Miserable screams suddenly rang out. It was incomparably miserable, just like the screams of a chrysanthemum that had been destroyed with a mace. And at this moment, Long Fei suddenly turned around and saw that the golden dragon, which he had initially been extremely proud of, had now become distorted and incomparably painful. That shot just now. Ha ha ha. Grandson, even you have such a day. You make me feel proud. Make me feel proud. Ha ha ha. You're a damn tease, teasing Lousy and teasing me again. Have you enjoyed yourself? Ha ha ha. Long Fei became excited and thought, my luck is really good, being able to kill a golden dragon with a cannonball. What luck! Ha ha ha. Too excited. To Long Fei, this was definitely the only thing that happened. Awoo. The golden dragon let out another scream, and its body exploded with a loud boom. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining skill +1. Please select your skill. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining level +1. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Divine Dragon's Soul. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Fire Knife. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Luck +10. Skill level +1. Player level +1. Long Fei looked at the experience slot. Aren't you giving me 40 million free experience? Ha ha ha. Awesome. Weapon. Fire Knife rank. First rank of Heaven Stage. Long Fei didn't bother looking at the attributes as he muttered, too trash, you can't form a 3-blade flow with Chiu Shui and the Dragon Salyer. You have no qualifications at all. Exchanging points. Forget it, let's wait first. 10 points of luck attribute. This attribute is too strong. Long Fei grinned. Although he could not see the luck attribute, he could also not feel it. However, as far as gamers were concerned, that was just it. Its existence was very sharp. To be able to drop so many good items during this period of time, the luck attribute of the spiritual void ring would definitely be of great use. In addition to the 10 points of luck, the drop rate and damage in the future would also increase. In the end, Long Fei looked at a ball of soul and muttered, Divine Dragon's Soul? Ancestor, do you know what this is? The system cannot identify it. He could only ask the forefather. Yan Huang ancestor was currently cultivating, so he had to cultivate as well. Otherwise, his remnant soul would disappear. When he heard the 4 words, Divine Dragon's Soul, his eyes suddenly opened as he excitedly said, Good stuff. Huh. Long Fei asked, What's the best way? Yan Huang ancestor said, In the Sky Martial Continent, the Divine Dragon's Soul can be considered a top holy artifact, but it will still depend on how to use it. Kid, you have 2 choices now. The first is for you to fuse with the dragon god's soul. Your soul will no longer be suppressed by any powerhouse's pressure in the Tianmu continent. If you cultivate to the great perfection stage, you can transform into a divine dragon. You can be said to be an unrivaled existence in the entire Tianmu continent. Also, let the dragon salure fuse together. This way, the dragon salure will evolve at twice the speed it can. The fusion of the two is incomparably difficult. It isn't as if you only need the divine dragon's soul. You also need something else to coordinate with it. I will tell you just what these things are. Choose a knife or choose yourself. Two choices presented themselves in front of Long Fei. Was he a blade? Long Fei asked, "Ancestor, who will be stronger?" Yan Huang Ancestor was startled. He didn't think that Long Fei would ask such a question. He laughed out loud. "Let me be honest, you can fuse with the dragon god, and the blade can also fuse with the dragon god. Moreover, it is the true dragon god's fury. Right now, the dragon spirit killer, released by the dragon salure, is not even 1/1000th of the dragon god's power. When faced with a problem, he would probably choose to merge them himself. Becoming a dragon god, how cool is that?" Long Fei said without any hesitation, "I choose to let the dragon salure fuse together." Yan Huang Ancestor trembled again and said in a serious tone, "Brat, you have to think this through. Once you are certain, you will not be able to change it, transforming into a dragon god. Even the strong war king warriors will yearn for. Do you want to give up?" "Give up?" Long Fei still did not hesitate and said, "The dragon salure is the legacy and faith of my Long family. If he can become the #1 divine weapon in the sky martial continent, with the dragon god guarding the Long family, then the Long family will be invincible. No one will dare to bully him." He wasn't thinking about himself, but about the Long family. Right now, the Long family seemed to be the hegemon of this region, but in the South Horizon region, it was nothing at all. It was an insignificant existence that could be wiped out by any sect. Long Fei wanted the Long family to become the strongest family in the sky martial continent. Dragon salure were the belief of the Long family. If he could become the strongest godly weapon, then it would bring more benefits to the Long family than if he could become the dragon god. "I choose the dragon salure. Ancestor, please begin." Chapter 5, 8_8419/2356581. "Not yet. Not yet," the Yan Huang Ancestor said. "Honestly, firstly, my current strength is still lacking. Furthermore, to fuse with the dragon god's soul, I need something to complement the heart of ancient fairy tree. Only by combining two things can the dragon salure absorb the power of the dragon god's soul. Where can I get a heart of ancient fairy tree?" Long Fei asked. The Yan Huang Ancestor replied, "Heart of ancient fairy tree are not rare spiritual treasures in Chaos Realm. I am not too sure about them in the sky martial continent, but you can use the auction house or join a clan to send people to search for them, to find out where they came from. Right now, there are only these two methods." Yan Huang Ancestor was a lackey, and this was the sky martial continent, so he was not clear about many things. Long Fei muttered, "Join the auction house?" While speaking, Long Fei carried the huge sword on his shoulder and slowly walked back, thinking to himself, "Do you want to join the sect?" Other than raising his strength, skills, and weapon enhancement were also very important. If he could upgrade his dragon salure to the strongest holy artifact, then, when the blade was unleashed, the dragon god would be angered and Hong Tianjun would be trembling under the dragon god's might. "Are you still being arrogant? Do you still dare to let me eat blood corpse? You still dare to set me up? The blood refinement sect is incredible." The fat ox was still punching and punching him. Even though the man was already dead, he did not let go. Long Fei walked forward and said, "Great Ocean Ox, forget it. Everyone is dead." Niodahai raised his head and looked at Long Fei. His body was paralyzed as he kicked the blood-refining sect disciple away, saying, "Boss, you don't know, I almost turned into a blood corpse just now. I'm so scared." Long Fei moved the huge sword on his shoulder. "Go back." The huge sword flew into the air and directly entered the sarcophagus sheath. Yuan Ba also swiftly carried the sarcophagus on his back, each person carrying a coffin, looking extremely domineering. While they were talking, Long Fei took out the fire knife that had exploded from the fishing machine and placed it beside Niodahai, then laughed, "Are you still afraid?" Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, Niodahai went forward and fiercely kissed the back of the blade and said, "Boss, is this for me?" This. This is not a profound rank magic weapon." Niodahai was stunned. Long Fei laughed. "Of course it's not a profound rank magic weapon. It's a first rank heaven stage magic weapon. Take it and use." Heaven stage. Niodahai was completely stunned. "Isn't Madam too precious? I'll be embarrassed." Long Fei walked to the side of the sack and said, "You still want to be embarrassed? I see that your skin is thicker than a city wall. How can you be embarrassed?" "I'll give it to you. Take it. It's what I promised you back then." Fire Knife could only exchange for around 10,000 points at most, which wouldn't be of much use. Moreover, this fatty had always been bullied by others. It was not that his cultivation was lacking, but that he did not possess a single good weapon. Plus, he was a person of the artifact forging hall. How could he do without a proper weapon? More importantly, he is Long Fei's little brother. If he had meat to eat, so would his brothers. Long Fei took Yuan Ling out of the gunny sack, looked at Yuan Ling's ice-cold expression, and said, "Why does the sex girl have a cold expression? It's as if someone owes her money." Looking at Yuan Ling, Long Fei thought of Lu Luoshi. He felt pain in his heart. Niodahai walked over while carrying the fire knife and asked, "Boss, will junior sister apprentice Yuan Ling be all right?" "Nope. You should wake up after a day's rest." This was the second time Long Fei had encountered the blood refinement art, and he naturally had the experience. "That's good. Then, if something happens to junior sister apprentice, I won't be able to take responsibility." Niodahai grinned, then used the fire knife to test 2 moves. The blazing flames were extremely oppressive. "I like it so much." Niodahai looked at Long Fei and asked, "Boss, which sect are you a disciple from?" "Lingyun sect, See Heaven sect, or the strongest Nantian sect." From his point of view, Long Fei was definitely a sex-level disciple. His cultivation was only at the War Chief realm, but his strength had long surpassed the War Elder realm. He was definitely a genius disciple from a super sect. The weapons and techniques on Long Fei's body were all incomparably sharp and had never been seen before. There were all sorts of indications that Long Fei was a genius disciple from a large sect. Long Fei shook his head and said, "I have yet to join the sect." Huh. Niodahai was shocked. He immediately grabbed onto Long Fei's hand and asked, "Boss, then why are you joining our Xianjian sect like this?" "I am the great senior fellow apprentice of the Artifact Forging Hall. I will protect you once I enter the Xianjian sect." Yuanba looked at Niodahai and closed his eyes, then looked away because he could not listen anymore. He had been muddled in such a miserable state, and he even threatened to protect others. Long Fei looked at Yuanba and asked, "Yuanba, you want to meet the Zhou family? Where is the Zhou family?" Yuanba's mission was not over. Long Fei really wanted to bring Yuanba with him because Yuanba was really awesome. When the Yen Huang ancestor said that he had the divine spirit blood vein in his body, he could not be let off. This fellow could not be buried by a trash family like the Zhou family. If this continued, Yuan Ba would be crippled, which was what Long Fei did not want to see the most. Without waiting for Yuan Ba to speak, Niu Dahai immediately said, "The Zhou family is located at the Xianjian sect, at the foot of the profound Sword Mountain. So why don't you come with me to the Xianjian sect?" Long Fei said, "Would it be difficult to join a sect?" The pubes had shattered, his veins were congealed, and the dragon blood in his body was 0 activation rate. Just based on these things, he was afraid that he would not be able to enter any sect. Niu Dahai interrupted Long Fei and said, "It's difficult for others, but it's too easy for you. Moreover, there's me too. It just so happens that there's still half a month before the day the Xianjian sects start widely accepting disciples. With my recommendation and your strength, I guarantee that there won't be any problems." Niu Dahai patted his chest, as if he was the boss. Long Fei thought for a while. "Okay, I will go with you to Xianjian sect." There were 2 reasons. The mission of taming Yuan Ba had not been completed. Second point, Long Fei also wanted to see what kind of sect it was. The mission of joining the sect and then becoming a heart of ancient fairy tree was also something he wanted to see. Xianjian sect was also a pretty good sect. If there was a sect or power searching for heart of ancient fairy tree, then it would be much faster. Seeing that Long Fei had agreed, Niu Dahai laughed out loud happily and said, "Boss, when the time comes, join my artifact forging hall. We will revitalize our might and kill all of Xianjian sect." Ha ha! Just thinking about it makes my blood boil. Long Fei also laughed. The next day, when Yuan Ling woke up, he found that his body was still weak. Long Fei made some meat porridge from the demon beast and took it very carefully. Yuan Ling was extremely touched. Carrot half /float * life. However, no matter how much Long Fei took care of minute subtlety, his intimacy had not increased at all. It stopped at 89. Long Fei muttered in his heart, "How can I raise my intimacy by this tiny bit?" Chapter 68_8419/2356582. 13 days later. 13 days later, Long Fei and his group of 4 arrived at a large sword mountain. The mountain peak was like a sword piercing through the sky. It was sharp, domineering, and had a domineering aura to it. It was very majestic. "Boss, this is the Sword Mountain. The biggest is the Xianjian Peak. They must be very powerful." Niu Dahai said proudly. He was proud of the Xianjian sect. Long Fei nodded and said, "Formidable." Compared to the Fire-Glass City, he was much stronger. Although he couldn't absorb it, he could feel that the spirit energy here was much denser than the Fire-Glass City. This was also the reason why the sect was established in this kind of place. Not everyone could be like Long Fei, who could kill monsters and level up. The warriors of this world all relied on cultivation to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to strengthen their physical body and break through the shackles. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was extremely important and could determine the rise and fall of a sect. At the same time, Long Fei was also looking at the winding road. It was packed full of people. Long Fei asked, "All of these will be participating in the selection?" A proud smile still hung on Niu Dahai's face as he said, "These people are gifted disciples who have been selected from various places, and they also need to go through an outer sect examination and selection process. Only those who rank in the top 1,000 are qualified to join the Xianjian sect." The sect's tests were exceedingly harsh. The cultivation resources within the sect would not be wasted on any disciple who did not have potential. It has to be said that Long Fei was shocked and muttered, "There are at least tens of thousands of warriors here. Choosing one of them in dozens is really harsh, huh?" Niu Dahai said, "This year's selection is 100,000 disciples. It's about 1 in 100. Boss, don't worry. As long as I am here, nothing will be a problem. I have been in the outer sect of Xianjin sect for 10 years. I still have some face. Niu Dahai said, somewhat complacently. At the same time, he was not worried about Long Fei at all, because with Long Fei's strength, let alone the outer sect, he even had the qualifications to enter the inner sect. Suddenly, a scream rose from the crowd. Look, the head disciple of the training hall, Zhou Qianyu, is flying in the sky. All he saw was a white-robed man stood atop a flying sword. His flying sword was extremely elegant, as if he was an immortal. It attracted countless screams. The head disciple, with the best talent in the outer sect of Xianjin sect, he has already been selected by the sect master to be his final disciple. Soaring sword, his mastery in the Tao of the sword has probably reached a very high level, right? Of course, is one, Zhou Tianyan is another, and there is even a Zhou Tianxiao. They are known as the three great sword geniuses of the Zhou family, and are all also the absolute genius disciples of the outer sect of Xianjin sect. I heard that the Xianjin sect is going to raise him. In these few years, he is the only disciple that is comparable to Hong Tianjun of the Chao Tian sect. I wonder if that is true or false. His innate talent is the only genius amongst the young generation of Xianjin sect that can compete against Hong Tianjun. So handsome, if only I could marry him. Although these new disciples were not disciples of Xianjin sect, they already knew about the matters of Xianjin sect very clearly. Sword flight. Long Fei secretly shivered, acting tough holy artifact, but I wonder what will happen if I pull the ice and fire out. Seeing that Long Fei seemed to be deep in thought, Niu Dahai said, Boss, don't be too pressured. He will definitely rise to become an inner disciple. He won't be selected together with you. Also, what kind of flying sword? The sword under his feet is too powerful. It was given to him by the Grand Master. I heard it's a 9th level heaven stage. If he didn't have this sword, he wouldn't even be able to fly. Niu Dahai said disdainfully at the same time. He said to Long Fei in a low voice, Boss, Zhou Tianxiao's death is something that he brought upon himself. It has nothing to do with you. You don't have to be afraid of it. Huh. Long Fei looked at Niu Dahai and asked, Do I look scared? Niu Dahai nodded. Long Fei looked at Yuan Ling, who nodded. Long Fei was speechless. Why didn't I realize that I was afraid? Don't feel pressure. Zhou Tianyu won't be able to fight with you. Niu Dahai patted Long Fei's shoulders and then said, Wait here for a moment. I'll register for you first. With that, he walked towards the mountain gate. Even though he was a 250 gene fatty, he was still very nimble. After a while, he disappeared. Long Fei said again, Am I really afraid? Yuan Ling nodded seriously and said, Are you not afraid? Aren't you afraid of the Zhou Tianyu in the sky just now? Long Fei. At this time, Yo, isn't this junior sister apprentice Yuan Ling? Why are you here? Where did these beggars come from? When did they participate in the selection? 3 young men dressed in the clothes of Xianjin sect disciples walked down. The 3 of them looked very pleased with themselves. Arrogant. Amongst these people, there was a sense of superiority in their eyes because they were official disciples of the Xianjin sect. And the people lining up in front of him were only disciples that had yet to be selected. The surrounding crowd was also shocked. Countless flattery flew everywhere. Wow, senior fellow apprentice is so handsome. Senior fellow apprentice is right. I don't know where this beggar came from, but he probably wants to become a disciple of the Xianjin sect. He probably doesn't want to take a piss and do whatever he needs to do. That's right, you really are dreaming about entering the Xianjin sect, isn't it? Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "Damn, a group of dogs is barking. Kid, who are you calling a dog? Kid, I think you're courting death. Trash, say that again if you dare." Many people wanted to show off their skills in front of the three official disciples. If they were recognized by them, then they might have more to rely on in the future. Before he could finish, Long Fei ruthlessly slapped down 3 times consecutively, and with a slap, he shouted, "I say you're a dog. Pa, who's looking to die now? Pa, grandson, I'll say it again, you're just a F** king dog. Do you understand? Pa." 3 slaps were incredibly resounding, directly slapping the 3 of them onto the ground for a long time without being able to get back up. The surrounding people who still wanted to kiss up to them immediately shut up, not daring to say another word. The expressions of the 3 outer court disciples became sinister. One of the disciples stood on the stairs and looked down at Long Fei from above and said, "Brat, you are very arrogant. Do you know where this is? You dare to behave atrociously here with your little strength? Do you believe that I won't kill you in seconds?" Long Fei frowned. A cold, killing intent flashed past his eyes. He sneered and said, "It's better to keep your mouth clean, otherwise—" The man frowned and said angrily, "Who do you think you are? You dare to speak to me like that? Today, I will teach you, an arrogant person, a good lesson." Chapter 68_8419/2356583. Before he could finish, the man attacked with his sword. The aura around him was extremely fierce. He did not want to teach Long Fei a lesson, but to kill Long Fei, a disciple that hadn't even entered the sect, yet dared to be so arrogant. If he didn't show some respect, then where would his status as an official disciple be? What face did he have? He had to teach Long Fei a lesson, and even make him suffer. Long Fei stood where he was without moving. Seeing the man stab with his sword, he sneered and said, "With just this kind of sword technique, you want to make a fool of yourself?" Long Fei's body moved. The sarcophagus on Yuan Ba's back suddenly dropped to the ground. Boom! A loud sound echoed out. Long Fei moved. The Xian Ming sword in the sarcophagus let out a humming sword hum. It was just that. Without waiting for Long Fei to make a move, Yuan Ling took the initiative to break that person's move, blocking in front of Long Fei, while saying slightly, "3 senior fellow apprentice S, please include him for a moment. Just look at my Yuan Ling's name." 1 move of slay. Yuan Ling's tone was cold. His expression did not change in the slightest. However, to the surrounding people, especially to the 3 senior fellow apprentices, they were completely shocked because Yuan Ling was actually pleading for mercy for someone else, and it was even a stranger at that. Looking at their shocked expressions, Yuan Ling said again, "Consider this as junior sister apprentice owing you a favor." A favor from Yuan Ling. The hearts of the 3 were shaken, and when they looked at Long Fei again, they were all thinking, who exactly is this person? Can make junior sister apprentice Yuan Ling become like that? Not even the 3 sword Dao geniuses of the Zhou clan would be able to do it. Putting away the senior fellow apprentice's longsword, he smiled and said, "Since junior sister apprentice has spoken, then everything is fine, but junior sister apprentice, who is he? You look like a country bumpkin, but how could you know him?" He had a look of despise on his face. Long Fei was very unhappy. "Thank you, senior fellow apprentice, for your kindness. Yuan Ling, will definitely remember your kindness." Yuan Ling said, "He's a friend of mine." "My friend? Oh, all right, since junior sister apprentice has said so, then if we continue to attack, we won't give any face at all. However, the matter of a favor. The day after tomorrow is 15. Why don't we go to the Black Capital Peak to admire the moon? Just treat it as repaying the three of us. The man smiled. There was a trace of lust in his smile. Yuan Ling's expression did not change at all, and she said faintly, "All right. Ha ha ha. Junior sister apprentice, you personally agreed to this." The man was extremely excited. The corner of his mouth curved up as he looked at Long Fei with disdain. "Brat, consider yourself lucky today. Let's go. Ha ha ha." The three of them left happily. Yuan Ling turned around and looked at Long Fei and said, "You still want to join the Xianjian sect? This is a sect, not an ordinary town. Do you think you can act without restraint just because you have a strong cultivation? The Xianjian sect is so much stronger than you. If you had attacked them just now, there would have been only one outcome for you: die." She spoke very straightforwardly. She was protecting Long Fei just now. He did not hesitate to agree to their unreasonable request. Long Fei looked at Yuan Ling, and for a moment he actually didn't know what to say. However, his heart was moved. "What do we do the day after tomorrow?" What Bullsh *T appreciation of the moon. It meant that he had other motives. He could tell what that goal was just by looking at it with his toes. Yuan Ling slightly said, "You don't need to worry about this. I will settle this matter. You will calmly participate in the examination right now, and then safely pass the examination and become a disciple of the Xianjian sect. You have to know, not just anyone can be selected. You have to work hard, and don't disappoint me." Yuan Ling was not Niodahai. 100,000 would choose 1,000. 100 would choose one. This 100,000 disciples definitely had many disciples with outstanding talent, so Long Fei was not 100% sure to be able to enter. She hoped that Long Fei could enter the Xianjian sect. Hence she was worried. Long Fei looked at Yuan Ling, smiled, and said, "I'll try my best. Do what I can. You must enter the Xianjian sect. With your talent and the nurturing from the Xianjian sect, this platform will allow you to quickly rise to the top. You must enter the Xianjian sect." Yuan Ling said firmly. She had thought about it all along the way. He must make Long Fei a disciple of the Xianjian sect. At this moment, Niodahai returned. Looking at Yuan Ling's expression, he could not help but ask, "Boss, what happened?" Yuan Ling walked into the mountain gate with large strides. After walking a few steps, he suddenly turned his head around, changed his usual icy expression, and revealed a bright smile. He looked at Long Fei and said with a smile, "You must pass the selection. Okay, I will give you a special reward." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining this quest. Mission: pass the test. Level B. Time: 2 days. Reward: 10,000 experience points, 1,000 true chi, 1,000 points. Obtaining a S-rank mission score will give you a special reward. The system beep rang. Long Fei did not mind, but was stunned by Yuan Ling's brilliant smile. She can actually smile? Ice Mountain can laugh. Great Sea Ox, what did she say just now? A special reward? What do you mean a special reward? Long Fei started to let his imagination run wild. Could it be? In his mind, there were some unsuitable scenes of a child. Wow. Long Fei could not help it anymore and immediately asked, "When is the selection going to start? I can't wait." Niodahai was startled for a moment, then reacted, "Starting from tomorrow morning and ending in the afternoon of the day after tomorrow." "Right. Boss, I need to tell you something." Niodahai's brows tightly knitted together. Long Fei looked at Yuan Ling's distant background and muttered to himself, "What is it? Tell me." Niodahai heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Boss, about that. It was as if he did not dare to say it out loud. Long Fei said impatiently, "If there's anything you want to say, just say it." Niodahai clenched his teeth and said, "Yun Qin did not die. She had escaped back. Yun Qin. Who is Yun Qin? Long Fei didn't know who was called Yun Qin at all. Yuan Ba's eyes suddenly darkened. Niu Dahai continued. He's the little junior sister apprentice that was with Zhou Tianxiao in the Thunder Dragon Temple's secret realm last time. Huh. Long Fei was stunned but did not care, and said, So what if I'm back? Niu Dahai said, She has to distort the truth. I heard that. The Zhou family is looking for you. Zhou Qianyu called for you to be killed. The #1 disciple of the outer sect. The genius of the sword, Zhou Qianyu. His cultivation was unfathomable, and his sword arts had reached a state of shock. He was invincible in the outer sect. Floating life. Table of contents. No windows? A++, Long Fei muttered. The one who was riding the flying sword in the sky. Just now. Yes. Niu Dahai nodded. Long Fei looked into the sky and said, He wanted to kill me? I don't like him. He actually acted cool in front of me. Who the hell is he? I'll wait for him. The previous chapter was Chapter 7, Chapter 8, 8_8419/2356584. Niu Dahai was startled and asked doubtfully, Weren't you afraid of him? Niu Dahai was startled and asked doubtfully, Weren't you afraid of him? F***CK. Is your eye afraid of him? Long Fei was extremely disdainful. Ox Fatty, remember this clearly. I, Long Fei, am not afraid of the heavens or the earth. Even if the King of Heaven was before me, I would not be afraid. If you're afraid, then you've lost. Long Fei said very arrogantly. The only thing he was afraid of was that he had no money, no women, and no brothers. As for anything else, he really wasn't afraid of anything, except for death. Niu Dahai repeated Long Fei's words in his heart and muttered, I'll first bring you to my place to stay, then come gather here tomorrow morning. Yuan Ba, you too. My place is big anyway. Niu Dahai looked at Yuan Ba, who was deep in thought, and asked. Yuan Ba looked at Niu Dahai, then looked at Long Fei and took off the stone coffin on his back, but suddenly he kneeled on the ground and kowtowed to Long Fei. Kowtow. Then he got up and walked down the mountain. Everything happened extremely quickly, and Long Fei was a little unable to react to it. Long Fei was a little taken aback. He did not stop them, because he didn't know why he was stopped. The only thing, Long Fei's system quest had not failed yet. There were still about 10 days until the mission time was up. Regarding Yuan Ba, no matter what, Long Fei would never give up. Niu Dahai said slightly he should be returning to the Zhou mansion. Long Fei asked, What kind of place is the Zhou family? Niu Dahai said, It's in a town at the foot of the Sword Mountain, also called Zhou Town. Oh. Long Fei looked at Yuan Ba's lonely back, and his heart tightened. He thought to himself, You are a brother that I, Long Fei, recognize. No matter what happens, you are still my brother. And then Long Fei looked at Niu Dahai and asked, Am I your boss? Niu Dahai immediately jumped up and said, Of course you're my boss. You'll listen to anything I say, right? Long Fei asked again. Niu Dahai replied proudly, Of course. In Thunder Dragon Temple's secret realm, he had personally witnessed Long Fei's power, and the fire knife Long Fei had given him were heaven-ranked. Even his biological grandfather would not give him such a good thing. If you don't listen to Long Fei, who will you listen to? He was counting on Long Fei to take him to the Xianjian sect to eat, drink, and sweep everything. Long Fei, I think you should lose weight. Niu Dahai looked excited and said, Boss, are you going to give me some kind of miracle medicine? I've always wanted to get rid of this fat. Give me what elixir? The alchemy is exercise. Long Fei laughed sinisterly. Yuan Ba is not here. Carry this sarcophagus for me. He had a sinister smile on his face. Nyodahai was stunned. Seeing the sarcophagus that was even taller than him, he immediately felt fooled and said while wanting to cry, "Boss, about that, why don't I call you on Ba back? Carry the sarcophagus." Long Fei had already walked out. Nyodahai looked at this huge sarcophagus, let out a deep breath, and then carried him on his back. Crack! The sound of bones exploding could be heard. His 250 gene body was almost squashed into a meat patty. Panting, Nyodahai looked at the Long Fei, who was walking far away, and shouted, "Boss, wait for me! I can't do it anymore." Long Fei completely ignored him. Right after they disappeared, at the mountain gate, a 70 to 80-year-old man narrowed his eyes. Beside him stood a female outer court, disciple of Xianjian sect, Yunqin. Yunqin pointed at the back of Long Fei in the distance and said, "Grandfather Zhou, it was him who killed senior fellow apprentice Tianxiao, and Zhou Tong. You don't even know how cruel he is. Even his head was chopped off." Finished. Yunqin even pretended to be afraid and shake his body as he started to sob softly. "Woo! Senior fellow apprentice Tian, Xiao died too miserably. If my cultivation was stronger, I would have definitely killed that beggar." Power acting style. He acted just like that. At that time, although she could have saved Zhou Tianxiao, she ran even faster than a rabbit. Zhou Yuanha's eyes turned sinister. His fists clenched, his teeth chattering loudly. He said, "You killed my grandson, and you still dare to come to Xianjian sect. Good, good." After saying the word good 3 times in a row, Zhou Yuanha said viciously, "I really want to see what you have passed the examination with. I want you to die in the examination." And then he swung his sleeves and did not go down the mountain. Instead, he walked towards the Xianjian peak. God's Fire Hill. Rather than calling it a mountain, it would be more accurate to call it a small hill filled with wild grass. This was the artifact forging hall. It was also the only artifact forging hall in Xianjian sect. In the entire artifact forging hall, only one disciple was Nyodahai. When Nyodahai carried the sarcophagus back to the God's Fire Hill, he felt extremely lucky. If the God's Fire Hill was as steep as the Xianjian peak, he would have definitely died on the road. Long Fei looked at the half-collapsed house. A slanted signboard was hung on the entrance of the house. On it were 3 words, "Artifact Forging Hall." Inside the house, it was like a mountain temple, and even the mountain temple was much better than here. Long Fei looked at Nyodahai, who was panting like a cow, and asked doubtfully, "Are you sure this is the artifact forging hall?" Nyodahai gasped for breath and said, "Weak, poor, indeed a little bad, but this place is really the artifact forging hall. Boss, you should join my artifact forging hall as well. I believe that you can definitely bring glory to this place and cause it to soar into the sky in the Xianjian sect." Long Fei glanced at Oxfatty. "You're too fat, you can't fly." Nyodahai said excitedly, as long as I can refine a handful of earth stage. No, a profound rank magic weapon. The artifact forging hall will definitely restore the former glory. He believed that the artifact forging hall would surely recover its former glory one day. He firmly believed in it. Long Fei looked at him and laughed bitterly, then asked, "Where are the materials for refining?" "At the back of the artifact forging hall. Everything is already prepared." Nyodahai pointed to the sky slightly, his eyes full of excitement as he muttered to himself, "If I am able to forge a heaven-ranked divine weapon one day, all the girls in Xianjian sect would fall in love with such a handsome fatty like me. Ha ha." At this moment, Long Fei had already walked to the back of the artifact forging hall. At the back was a house. It was just as Fatty had said. Everything was there. He had all the materials he needed for forging weapons. Fuel, hammers, molds, furnaces, and a vat of pure spring water. Spring water. Huh. Long Fei saw that the spring water was a little different and took a sip. Ding. Recover 10 true chi points. Long Fei took another sip. Ding. Recover 10 true chi points. Floating life. Table of contents. No windows. A++. This spring water. Long Fei was shocked. It's just like the holy tea, but there are no tea leaves in this vat. It's not a holy tea at all. Then, this spring water is too strange. Long Fei's heart tightened, and the idea asked, Ancestor, what kind of spring water is this? Chapter 98_8419/2356585. Fatty had left for at least a month. Fatty had left for at least a month. There was not a single impurity in this month's spring water. Furthermore, it was so clear that the bottom could be seen. There must be something strange about this water. The Yen Huang ancestor idea moved and said, Spirit spring water. This mountain is hiding this spirit spring water. No wonder it is a wasteland of grass. The spirit chi here is extremely sparse. It is impossible. Now I know all the spirit chi here is absorbed by this spirit spring water. Not just this god's fire hill. I'm afraid. All the spirit energy in the entire Xianjian sect is being absorbed by this spirit spring water. Good heavens! This is an incredibly good item. Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. As expected, at the same time, he asked, what special use does it have? With just it and the true chi, 10 points of true chi could be ignored by Long Fei, who had a value of over 300,000 true chias. Thus, evidently, the recovery of the true chi was not its speciality. The Yen Huang ancestor said, this spirit spring water contains a dense amount of spirit energy. If I'm not mistaken, it should be an elemental spirit spring that is cooled from tempering. Tempering cool down. Long Fei was a little doubtful. He had not upgraded his refining techniques. He wasn't very clear about the basics of refining. Yen Huang ancestor explained, when refining, many people would care about fuel, hammers, crafting furnaces, as well as the experience of artificers, but they had ignored the tempering and cool down. They had only used cold water to cool the weapon, but when the fiery red weapon came in contact with cold water, the weapon would frantically absorb it. In the Chaos Realm, the Grandmaster Blacksmith would definitely look for good mountain spring water, especially for those spring water in the dense spirit forests. Because they are rich in spirit energy, they can increase the level of spirit treasures. If you use this spirit spring well, you can raise the level of the magic weapon by several dozens of levels. Moreover, the chances of you refining a top-grade spirit treasure is very high. Hearing this, Long Fei was a little dumbfounded. Isn't this just too heaven-defying? Then why did Fatty know? No reason. If the spirit spring water was so sharp, Fatty Nyo's artifact forging hall wouldn't be so embarrassed. If he could not even refine a profound ranked magic weapon, how could he refine some top-quality spirit artifact? Yen Huang ancestor said, firstly, that Fatty did not discover the secret of the spirit spring. Secondly, he was unable to control the dense spiritual energy in the spirit spring at all. Once you are unable to control yourself, it is extremely easy for you to fail. This is also the reason why he was unable to even forge a Xian-class soul treasure. Long Fei was silent. His space ring had a lot of materials. Soul lock chain, sturdy blood. These two materials could be used to refine magic weapon. Long Fei looked at Yen Huang ancestor and said, Ancestor, I would like to give it a try. Yen Huang ancestor said slightly, refining and alchemy are completely different. There are more things to master in refining than alchemy, but rest assured, with me here, any refining will not be a problem. All right. However, ancestor, I do not need your help right now. I will first comprehend the refining techniques myself. Long Fei slightly said. Yen Huang ancestor did not say anything, just tell me when you need me. Long Fei's cultivation method was different. He knew it long ago. Not only was the breakthrough different, the cultivation method was also different. If Long Fei did not say it, he would not ask either. The two of them seemed to have formed a tacit understanding. Refining techniques. Long Fei let out a light breath. It's better to raise the proficiency S and stabilize the foundation of the refining techniques. At the same time, he saw that there was another skill level plus one attribute in the system that was useless. He had not made a choice yet. Logically speaking, it was the best, most reasonable choice to add whatever skill proficiency had. However, Long Fei had not made his decision yet. He wanted to use it at the most crucial moment. It's starting. Long Fei moved his true qi. He immediately ignited the fire and poured the fuel into it. Then he casually took out a low-grade black iron stone, picked up a hammer, and started hammering. Half a minute later, ding! Refining failed. Proficiency +1, ding! Refining failed. Proficiency +1. Half a night passed. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up to refining techniques, currently at level 2. Second grade yellow rank is simply not enough. Continue. Long Fei continued to beat them up. He did not care about whether he succeeded or failed at all. What he wanted was the proficiency. He just wanted the level of the refining techniques. Niu Dahai had been sleeping for half the night. When he heard the sounds of equipment forging in the backyard, he immediately became spirited and rushed over to the artifact forging workshop. Seeing Long Fei frantically hitting a lump of metal with his bare upper body, and with his eyes clouded, he asked, "Boss, what are you refining?" "A refined dart. It's even an iron refining ball." He didn't understand. Long Fei also did not bother about him. Niu Dahai looked at Long Fei's serious expression and said, "Boss, this is not how you forge artifacts. Let me teach you." "No need. You should just get some rest." Long Fei replied. Niu Dahai muttered, "It's impossible to succeed in refining like this. You don't even know the most basic of things." Long Fei said, "I told you to go rest. You don't have to worry about me." He did not have the time to explain anything to Fatty Niu. Niu Dahai sighed and said, "All right." He wanted Long Fei to join the Xianjian sect and then revive the artifact forging hall with him. But, seeing Long Fei's method of refining, he gave up. Inherent skills were needed to forge equipment, alchemy, or inscribe formations. From how Long Fei took out the hammer, how he controlled the fire, and so on, Niu Dahai knew in his heart that Long Fei was not a material for refining. He did not have any talent in smithing. Niu Dahai left. He left with disappointment. Long Fei didn't care about him as he continued to practice desperately. Unknowingly, a new day had begun. It was also at this time. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up to refining techniques, currently level 4. Yellow rank level 4. Huff, huff. Long Fei was drenched in sweat as sweat rolled down along his muscles. Although the muscles on his body were bulging and bulging, they were filled with explosive strength, and his body had a gold ratio. Adding the scars on his back, he gave off a manly and masculine vibe. A woman would be enchanted by a single glance. It should be impossible to raise the refining techniques by 5 levels, Long Fei said to himself. And then he walked out of the artifact forging workshop and stood on the hillside, breathing quietly. He breathed out the foul air in his body. 3 minutes later, Long Fei's heart was as calm as still water. He turned and entered the artifact forging workshop. 360 search. Half floating / equals the idea moved. True chi sprayed out violently and transformed into a large group of soul lock chain. Yen Huang ancestor had been paying attention to Long Fei the entire night. Seeing him take out a large pile of soul lock chain, he could not help but ask, refining a blade, the sword does not even need this much material. What are you refining with so many soul lock chain? Long Fei smiled mysteriously. Chapter 10/8_8419/2356586. Ancestor, please teach me how to control the cooldown of the spirit spring water later. Ancestor, please teach me how to control the cooldown of the spirit spring water later. As for the rest of the matters, you just have to watch them properly. Long Fei did not say what kind of spirit equipment he was going to refine. This spirit artifact was constructed in his mind from the very beginning. For this, he was excited. Yen Huang ancestor also felt his excitement and replied, "All right, when the time comes, I will use my power to help you control it. With your current strength, you won't be able to control it." And then Long Fei began. The fire had reached its brightest point, and the true chi was like a bellows as it began to burn. The fire and the true chi roared loudly, causing the burning point to increase by several times. The soul lock chain was like a furnace. It was melting fast. It was extremely red, and at the same time, the soul lock chain's powerful aura was also being controlled by the true chi in the fire. Yen Huang ancestor had been paying attention this whole time and was extremely shocked in his heart. He was able to control the fire to such an extent in a short night's time. Genius! No. Comparing a genius with this kid is simply an insult. Too strong. Yen Huang ancestor was shocked. He never thought that Long Fei could control the fire until such a state, and the true chi in the fire did not let any of the energy in the ingredients be lost. This was the most crucial point. He used the true chi to crush the power in the materials, and at the same time, the molten metal of the soul lock chain was also crazily absorbing his true chi. Thus, the success rate of this high-grade spirit artifact was even higher. Good boy. Yen Huang ancestor was extremely excited. The soul lock chain started to melt frantically as Long Fei brandished the ghost artifact, refining hammer, that exploded from the body of the three-headed six-armed statue king. He then removed the impurities from the soul lock chain. Clang, clang, clang. Sparks flew in every direction within the workshop. Flames shot up into the sky. Countless sparks splashed onto Long Fei's body, but they were all repelled by his body's invisible force. Clang, clang. After removing the impurities, he threw them back into the fire, causing the true chi to level up once again. It frantically reacted with the fire, causing the soul lock chain to melt once more. Finally, Long Fei took out his two gigantic thunder hammer model spirit artifact. Pour the soul lock chain into the mold. At this moment, Long Fei did not relax for even half a second. The true chi continued to pour into the iron water of the soul lock chain. Long Fei took out the blood stun. Huff! The idea started to move. Enchanted! Boom! A loud sound echoed out. 1,000 points disappeared. Long Fei's head seemed to be crazily burning, all of it turning blood red. His eyes were filled with a demonic aura, and his entire body was emitting an incomparably terrifying aura. The stun blood was completely under his control at this moment. It was the best material for refining demonic equipment, Magic Pill S. To refine demonic equipment, Magic Pill S, or demonic beasts, it was the best way, the release of his demonic nature. The entire god's fire hill trembled slightly. The rigid blood was perfectly controlled and thrown into the soul-locked chain's molten metal. At this moment, the fiery red molten metal and the rigid blood reacted as they madly clashed, fusing together under Long Fei's powerful devil Tru Chi. Yan Huang ancestor was stunned. "Oh my God! What a good kid! I didn't expect you to possess a demonic cultivator's body. Ha ha ha! I really didn't think of that." Yan Huang ancestor was too excited. Long Fei was currently completely focused on this pair of gigantic hammers, to the point that he did not know what the ancestor said. The giant hammer had a strong reaction. Its body was filled with demonic energy, as though it wanted to break through Long Fei's control. "You want to break through? Come down a little." As soon as he finished, Long Fei's heart sank as he roared, "Wu Shuang!" Shua! There was a loud roar from his body, and a power of double the attribute was released. In a flash, the powerful force from the hammer was suppressed. Moreover, in this instant, the fusion of wind, water, and illusion in Long Fei's body, and the fusion of the fire essence in the great desolate mountain all fused into it. The two enormous hammers released an incomparably thick sound of energy. It was deafening. It was like a thunderclap in the sky, one after another. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Niu Dahai, who was so scared that his round body was trembling, immediately stood up and shouted, "Thunder, rain, collect the clothes. F***CK. The sky is blue, there's no sign of rain. And where did this thunderous sound come from?" Niu Dahai scratched his head in puzzlement. Then he rolled up the blanket and fell asleep again. It was also at this time. It was the first time a girl appeared in the history of God's Fire Hill, and it was an incomparably beautiful girl. Yuan Ling did not sleep well that night. He was worried about the matter of Long Fei's assessment. When she found out that Yun Qin had returned alive, she was even more worried. The Zhou family was extremely powerful in the Xianjian sect, especially the outer sect. Zhou Yuanhe must definitely know about Long Fei coming to the Xianjian sect. He definitely would not let go of Zhou Qianxiao's death. They would definitely make a move against Long Fei. In this way, Yuan Ling became even more worried, as she would dare to remind Long Fei before the gathering begins. When she stepped onto the God's Fire Hill, she also felt the sound of thunder in the air, and her heart tightened. Could it be that the Zhou family made a move last night? Immediately, he quickly ran into the refining hall, looking at Niu Dahai, who was wrapped around for a whole lifetime, with his snores echoing in the sky and his saliva dripping all over the ground. And then looking at the broken-down artifact forging hall, it was really unsightly. Niu Dahai, who was the head disciple of the artifact forging hall, was completely the guardian of the gods' Fire Hill. Without seeing Long Fei, Yuan Ling couldn't help but kick Fatty Niu's body, saying, "Senior fellow apprentice Niu, where is Long Fei?" Niu Dahai was in the dream, holding a big pig head, and was kicked by Yuan Ling. The pig leg flew away, and his eyes opened wide in anger, wanting to curse. However, Yuan Ling immediately retracted it and said, "Yuan Ling, why are you so early?" Yuan Ling did not dawdle and asked again, "Where's Long Fei?" Niu Dahai rubbed his eyes and muttered, "I'm at the artifact forging workshop. Boss was there all night, Sai." I've already said that he doesn't have any talent in artifact forging, but I still won't listen. Yuan Ling's heart relaxed, and he prepared to take a look at Long Fei. Long Fei. At this time, the twin hammers had reached their final step. Looking at the bottle of spirit spring water, Long Fei's heart tightened and said, "Ancestor." Yan Huang ancestor smiled faintly. "Leave it to me." Finished. Yan Huang ancestor released a stream of power, immediately controlling Long Fei's hands, and fiercely threw the two gigantic hammers into the huge vat. Chi, chi, chi. Walala. Fire and water collided. In this instant, two streams of Yen Huang ancestors' power crazily flowed into the huge vat. Long Fei's true qi also started to surge crazily. Rumble. The artifact forging workshop made an explosive sound. Niu Dahai suddenly sprung up. I said he can't do it. He can't do it. I just won't listen. The furnace is exploding now. The sound of a furnace exploding. The entire refining workshop exploded and caved in. Table of contents. It was also at this time. A line of system beep sounded out in Long Fei's mind. Ding. When the 11th chapter was delivered, all my manuscripts were sent out. I didn't sleep much last night, and this was probably the last time I had to update them. Haiyang had really done his best. Brothers, check the ticket warehouse. See if there are any more monthly tickets. Support the sea. Let the sea rush up. All please, I can't take it anymore. 8_8419/2356587. The refining workshop exploded. The refining workshop exploded. The system beep rang. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully refining it. Ding! Please name your weapon. Huff! Long Fei's body went limp, and he immediately sat down on his butt under the roof. Sweat rolled down his forehead, and his entire body was drenched in sweat, including the panties inside. Spiritual energy was extremely exhausted. It was too hard. During the 10 minutes of artifact forging, he did not relax for even a second. The mental strength was extremely high, and the instant the system beep sounded, it loosened up as if it had been completely emptied out in an instant. It was incomparably uncomfortable. It was as if his brain had stopped working. This is too hard to bear. This kind of high-intensity refining is not something that my current mental strength can withstand. Long Fei still had some lingering fear in his heart. If not for the weapon in his heart, he would never risk his life like this. Refining, alchemy, carving of formations, and a series of supporting skills all required a high level of mental strength because alchemy, in the process of refining, one could not allow even the slightest bit of distraction. Long Fei lied in the middle of the ruins, gasping for air. The idea moved. Ancestor, are you all right? Yen Huang Ancestor was also extremely weak, and he said, he won't die. I need to rest. If I don't get some rest, I really won't be able to make it. He did not expect this to happen. Never would he have thought that the two hammers refined by Long Fei would actually contain power beyond his imagination. It's just a 4th-level yellow-ranked refining techniques. It's already pretty good to be able to refine a profound ranked spirit treasure. But he didn't think that this Long Fei brat was completely. The power of the twin hammers was too strong. He had no choice but to use all of his strength to let the dual hammers fully absorb the spirit spring water's energy. At the same time, he also modified the dual hammer's elemental essence attributes. Turn all elemental energy into a type of power. This way, the elemental energy would be even more powerful. It pierced the heart like a sharp arrow. One-hit kill. Long Fei said heavily, Ancestor, thank you. Finished. After continuously consuming a few dragon spirit pills, his true qi had recovered a little, but it was still only a little. Out of the more than 300,000 true qi pills, he only had about 5% of them remaining. Yen Huang Ancestor did not reply, as he remained completely silent within Long Fei's broken pubes. He also did not continue to absorb Long Fei's true qi. The Yen Huang Ancestor also knew that Long Fei was about to enter the examination grounds of the Xianjian sect, and he needed the true qi even more. At this moment, no matter how difficult it was, it wouldn't absorb Long Fei's true qi. Long Fei moved and mumbled, Now let me see what rank it is and what type it is. He opened the system and checked. Weapon. Unnamed. Rank, semi-artifact demon, can be leveled up. Weight, 99,999 gene. 1. Description, possessing the power of thunder, able to unleash heavenly lightning attacks, infused with 100% thunder element power. Description 2, not available to the ungodly. Description 3, a person with godly strength can double the power of the twin hammers. Seeing the system's description, Long Fei became excited. It's worth it. Everything is worth it. Ha ha. I never thought that refining a semi-artifact on my first try, and it's even a demonic equipment. Ha ha. It's worth it. Even if I lose half my life, it's still worth it. This weapon, Long Fei had the thought of refining it from the very beginning. Who is Yuanba? If you add another surname in front of Yuanba, Li Yuanba, this was all too clear. This pair of hammers were made specifically for Yuanba. Ding. Please name your weapon. The system once again rang out. Long Fei thought to himself. In the Sui and Tang dynasties, Li Yuanba's dual hammers were beating drums and urns with golden hammers. However, this name is not domineering enough. Yuanba should be worthy of a domineering name. The twin hammers have the thunder attribute, so they are called thunder hammers. Thunder. It's still not powerful enough. Thunder, lightning, thunder, thunder. Long Fei immediately became excited because of the two words Lei Nu and said, "It's called Lei Nu." Ding. The name of Lei Nu is a success. When Long Fei looked at the dual hammers again, their names immediately changed to Lei Nu. Thunderclap. This pair of sledgehammers would definitely show off its might in Yuanba's hands, and when it was used, it would definitely cause thunder to roll around, raging in all four directions. It would definitely be in existence, as valiant as thunder. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed wildly because of this name, and thought, Yuanba, I don't believe that you won't be moved by this pair of gigantic hammers. I don't believe that I can't subdue you. This time, Long Fei was extremely confident. It was also at this time. Boss, are you all right? Boss. Niu Dahai shouted anxiously. I already told him not to forge artifacts. Not artifacts, but he... Hey, boss, don't die. Yuan Ling stared coldly at Niu Dahai and anxiously shouted as well. Long Fei, Long Fei. Hearing the shout, Long Fei's heart moved. He wanted to reply, but suddenly discovered his own red hair. His heart shivered, and said, "So, this is bedevilment." He did not pay attention to the process of artifact forging. Now that he saw his blood-red devil, he could sense the aura in his body, a unique aura. Long Fei became excited again. This is what it means to be bewitched. Arrogant, unscrupulous. He does as he pleases. This is the aura of a devil. Long Fei could clearly feel this feeling. Very good, very good. Boss, you have to do something else. Today is the day of the assessment. If something were to happen to you, what would happen to the assessment? Niu Dahai became anxious. At the same time, he was also swiftly cleaning up the mess within the workshop and was about to dig Long Fei out from the ruins. Don't let them see me like this. Long Fei moved. Recover back to your original body's form. Ding! 100 points. As soon as he finished, with his points reduced by 1,000, Long Fei quickly recovered to his original state and thought to himself, luckily I still have 2,000 points, otherwise it would really be bad. There is no separation between good and evil. It wouldn't be good if they found out they still had the body of a demonic cultivator. Moreover, this was Long Fei's secret. Other than Xiao by Binghua and the patriarch, no one else would know about this secret. I'm fine. I'm still alive. Long Fei feigned weakness and screamed a few times. Niu Dahai and Yuan Ling's hearts were startled. They quickly found Long Fei's location and pulled him out from the ruins. The two of them relaxed. Niu Dahai immediately said, Boss, you scared me to death. strongest upgrade system. Yuan Ling had an ice-cold expression, but her eyes revealed worry, and she said lightly, "Hurry up and wash up, we're about to gather. If you are late, you will be disqualified." Long Fei smiled slightly. "Don't worry, there won't be a problem." Yuan Ling's brows tightened. This was no longer an ordinary assessment. The Zhou family's influence was completely targeting Long Fei. Chapter 1. Thank you, Tears of Qingcheng, for becoming the second Alliance Master of this book. Thank you, 8_8419/2356588. Outside the Xianjian Peak, in the huge martial arts practice field. Outside the Xianjian Peak, in the huge martial arts practice field, 100,000 disciples stood orderly on the martial arts practice grounds. These people were chosen from the genius disciples of various places, clans, and dynasties in the South Horizon region. Amongst these 100,000 disciples, only 1,000 lucky ones would be chosen. The person chosen would become an official disciple of the Xianjian sect. From then on, the person would change their fate and receive the nurturing of the Xianjian sect. As for the 90,000 people who weren't chosen because of their age, they would be eliminated forever. They could only live a mediocre life. This made the selection cruel. Long Fei, you have to do your best. Yuan Ling encouraged. Niu Dahai said confidently, "Junior sister apprentice, you can rest assured. My boss will definitely go for the selection." He believed in Long Fei's strength. Niu Dahai continued, "When the time comes, just wait for me to call you senior sister." Yuan Ling forced out a smile. She was extremely worried in her heart, but it was not because she did not believe in Long Fei's strength, but because she was afraid of the Zhou family. The Zhou family had never stopped at reaching their goal. Perhaps she could only pray for Long Fei. 10 minutes later, an outer elder walked onto the stage and said lightly, "The assessment is divided into two parts. The first is the sword tomb assessment, and the second is the beast hunting assessment. The first part, after passing the sword tomb, the top 10,000 disciples will be able to enter the next round. The second part, I have succeeded in ranking in the top 1,000 in the demonic beast hunting test. Remember, you must not cheat. The person who appears will be disqualified immediately. For the disciples that get in the top 10, they can obtain prizes, and they are respectively profound rank spirit swords. The better the result, the higher the level of the magic weapon." As soon as his voice faded, the entire plaza was filled with discussion. Xian Grade Spirit Sword. This is a good item. The Xianjian Sect Spirit Sword is worth tens of millions of gold. I must obtain this spirit sword. Me too. Amongst the people, Long Fei was just standing there in a daze. Reward of the profound rank spirit sword. The people at the side mocked. He really is a country bumpkin. Even if the Xian Grade Spirit Sword is very powerful, he shouldn't be so scared, right? Exactly. Look at his dumbstruck expression. He must have been scared stiff by a profound ranked spirit treasure. I wonder where this poor kid came from. In this world, cultivating based on talent is useless, and one has to be rich. A profound ranked spirit sword is already this scary. It's clear that he's poor and has no experience in this world. Ha ha. All of them were acting tough, as if they were amazing. Long Fei also did not bother about him. However, he was laughing in his heart. This is a damn sect, and it was a sect that was ranked in the top 10 of the South Horizon region's forces. Just reward a profound ranked spirit sword. What a joke. I didn't even look at it. The first weapon I refined was the semi-artifact. I rewarded the profound ranked spirit sword. It was too shabby. At this moment, Long Fei finally knew that the sects were not rich after all. Forget it. I'm not interested in rewards. But Long Fei swept his gaze across the people who were ridiculing him and said with a cold smile, "Are you mocking this, Daddy? Then just wait for your faces to be slapped." The reward he could not accept. However, he couldn't afford to lose face. He had to make a fool of himself, and he had to smash it beautifully. First place, and to let Yuan Ling be happy for a bit. Maybe he could even receive Yuan Ling's special reward. If that was really the case, Long Fei's thoughts were a little impure. The elders in the arena pressed their hands together, and the entire audience instantly quieted down. The elder continued, "In order to ensure the fairness of this assessment and to prevent some people from cheating, we will send out 300 outer disciples to supervise you. If anyone dares to act recklessly, you can think about it yourselves." Everyone turned to look in the blink of an eye. Standing at the other side were 300 outer sect disciples dressed in official disciple clothing. Each of them had profound cultivation base, and their expressions were solemn, appearing to be extremely cool. It made countless girls scream, "So handsome! Do you think it's for Zhou Tianyan? He's one of the 3 great sword geniuses of the Zhou family. Wow, so handsome! I want to marry him." He completely disregarded the young girl's modesty and had a face full of infatuation. However, this was also a path of ascension. Women had an advantage over men. However, most of the women who said those words were ugly to the point of being unable to look straight at. The elder on the arena said once again, "Rest for the last 3 minutes and then enter the exam grounds." Finished, he walked down from the ring and returned with a smile on his face. "Master Zhou, you don't have to worry about this matter. The kid won't be able to survive." Zhou Yuanhe cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, Elder Chun." Finished, Zhou Yuanhe took out a bag of spirit stones from his chest pocket, handed it over, and said, "This is just a small matter and is not worthy of respect." Chun-Li, who took it and weighed it in his hands, the smile on his face became even more joyous, and he said, "Then I will thank Master Zhou." Zhou Yuanhe also laughed along and thought, "Brat, see how I'll play you to death." 3 minutes later, the assessment begins. Target is the sword tomb. And then the 100,000 disciples madly surged down the mountain like a surging tide. The sword tomb was not on the Xianjian peak, but at the bottom of the 100,000 sword mountains. Sword tomb, the grave of the sword. It was one of the most mysterious, weird, and mysterious places in the Xianjian sect. Inside were broken swords, short swords, and also very undamaged swords. These swords were ordinary swords, without any spirit energy fluctuations. However, as long as you pull out a sword, all the other swords will tremble and instantly kill you. The entire sword tomb seemed like a huge array. It was hard to fathom. Legend has it that the sword tomb was here before the Xianjian sect was established. The reason the first generation sect master of Xianjian sect established the Xianjian sect here was because of the existence of the sword tomb. Moreover, he was the first person to walk out of the sword tomb and carried a peerless divine sword. Thus, submission of the sword tomb became one of the Xianjian sect's training grounds. Of course, these were just legends. It had been 100,000 years since the first generation sect master of Xianjian sect. He had long since disappeared, and no one had been able to verify his whereabouts. However, the only thing that could be seen was a person's heart of the way of the sword within the sword tomb. If there is a sword that is willing to go with you, it means that your heart of the sword has completely subdued that sword. Amidst the crowd, Long Fei was being pushed around, feeling very uncomfortable. http:// from afar, Fatty Nyo was jumping up and down as he shouted, "Boss, hurry up! Hurry up! If you don't, it'll be too late." Yuan Ling's face was also filled with anxiety. The first stage relied on speed. Moreover, if 90,000 disciples were eliminated in the first trial, the elimination rate would be too high. If they didn't hurry, they wouldn't make it in time. The second chapter, thank you, Tears of Ching, for becoming the second chief of the Alliance. Thank you, 8_8419/2356589. The key point was that Long Fei was still in the crowd, leisurely, as if he did not take it seriously. The key point was that Long Fei was still in the crowd, leisurely, as if he did not take it seriously. How could they stop and Yuan Ling from panicking? Long Fei smiled at them from within the crowd and made an okay gesture. Actually, he also wanted to hurry up. However, he noticed that the people around him were continuously squeezing him, and they even tried to harm him. There were even some people who took out a knife and stabbed it into his waist. Fortunately, his reaction was quick, otherwise he would have been injured. I'll be fucked. Isn't it just an examination? You want my life? Long Fei muttered in his heart as he looked at the group of strangers with dark expressions. Suddenly, Long Fei placed a hand on a person's shoulder, swiftly tightened his neck, and said with a deep voice, "Brat, I'll F***K your sister, or have fun with your sister. How dare you hit me so viciously?" The disciple had his throat strangled and was having difficulty breathing. However, he still arrogantly said, "This is all because of you offending the Zhou family. Kid, today is the day you die." As soon as he finished, a dagger pierced forward, aiming straight at Long Fei's heart. If he was stabbed, he would definitely die. However, Long Fei's brows tightened and muttered, "Zhou family?" While he was speaking, Long Fei did not defend, but the god power in his right arm suddenly moved. Crack! The disciple's neck was broken. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for defeating Zhou family minor Luo for obtaining 800 experience, 100 true chi, and 100 energy values. The system sounded out. Zhou family minion Luo. Long Fei looked at the system and said in his heart, "Seems like the Zhou family will not let me go this time. Good, they can also give me some experience. Hee hee." That disciple fell to the ground, trampled by a large group of people until his face became unrecognizable. At the same time, a few more Zhou family henchmen pressed forward. Long Fei stood in the middle of the crowd, using the crowd as a cover, and continued to attack and kill the disciples who were attacking him. He would never show the slightest mercy to someone who wanted to harm him. One word, kill. Ding, ding, ding. The system beep continued to ring. Long Fei was constantly torturing and killing those in the crowd, but no one realized that he was the one who did it, because those people on the ground all suffered internal injuries as they were stepped on, as if they were stepping on an event. Moreover, in addition to them, there were also some who were unlucky to the point of accidentally falling and being trampled to death. This happens every year. However, too many people had died today. Boss, hurry up. Long Fei, hurry up. Yuan Ling and Niu Dahai did not know what Long Fei was trying to do in the middle of the crowd. At this moment, Zhou Tianyun walked over, stared at Niu Dahai, and said with killing intent, "Fatty Niu, don't worry, it's just the first stage. We're just giving him some face. We'll still let him pass. As for the second stage, hee hee." Niu Dahai's mind tightened and immediately shouted, "Zhou Tianyun, what are you trying to do?" Zhou Tianyun's eyes turned sinister. "Killing people to pay with your lives. My younger brother Zhou Tianxiao's life is in your hands. Do you think I will let you off? First him, then the both of you. Don't even think about escaping. Do you really think our Zhou family is easy to bully?" Zhou Tianyun's gaze fell on Yuan Ling and said with cold contempt, "Bitch, my little brother likes you so much, yet you're hooked on a bastard dog. Humph, just you wait and see. See how I'll play him to death. Finished. Without waiting for Yuan Ling's response, Zhou Tianyun led the 300 inner disciples to chase up. These were the 300 elite disciples of the outer sect. Many of them were experts of the War Elder realm, and some were even experts of the War Master realm. Yuan Ling and Niu Dahai were stunned. Niu Dahai was as impotent as an impotent son. The boss is in danger. What do we do? Yuan Ling took a step forward and shouted, I want him to withdraw from the examination. It's too dangerous. Without waiting for her to leave the training grounds, she was stopped by Chen Lihu. She laughed coldly. Yuan Ling, the examination has already begun. You cannot interfere in it. These are the sect's rules. Understand? Yuan Ling's eyes were ice cold. He still did not care. She still went after him. At this time, Chen Lihu bellowed, You dare to ignore me? Ignore the rules of the sect. Men, seize him. Attack the 100 spirit rod again. Niu Dahai was startled and immediately knelt down. Elder Chen, junior sister apprentice Yuan Ling, is not interfering with the assessment. She just wants to go down the mountain. Please be magnanimous. As they spoke, Niu Dahai quietly handed over the 3 spirit stones that he only had. Chen Lihu smiled slightly after taking the spirit stone. He suddenly raised the spirit stone in his hand and shouted, Niu Dahai, you actually dare to bribe the elder. What do you think I am? Men, come. He will also be punished severely. As he said that, he kept the 3 spirit stones into his pocket with a face full of contempt and sneered, You want to bribe me with only 3 spirit stones? TCH. Trash. A few of Niu Dahai's disciples held back, looked at Chen Lihu and asked, Why? Chen Lihu sneered and said, Why? Because you've offended someone you shouldn't have. Understand? Ha ha ha. Chen Lihu laughed out wildly and said, Drag him down and ruthlessly beat him up. If he resists, the punishment will be doubled. If he resists again, kill him. This was his territory. He could do whatever he wanted, and no one would be able to stop him. Niu Dahai and Yuan Ling were dragged down the stairs as he loudly scolded, Chen Lihu F***CK, your 18 generations of ancestors, you old thing will die a horrible death. Yuan Ling did not say anything, but looked down at the Xianjian peak. She was worried about Long Fei. The Zhou family definitely would not let him pass the examination alive. Zhou Tianyun was even less capable. They wanted to find that Zhou Tianyun was an expert of the War Master realm. Yuan Ling prayed in his heart. Long Fei, you must be careful. You must pass the examination. As long as you become an official disciple of the Xianjian sect, the Zhou family will not dare to touch you. Once one became a disciple of the Xianjian sect, their status would be different. If the Zhou family still wanted to make a move on Long Fei, they would have to think about it. Not long after. With the swing of the rod, Niu Dahai let out a roar like a pig being butchered and scolded, Chen Lihu, you will die a horrible death. A stick blossomed. In addition, these bats were very special. In the game, they had armor-piercing damage. And then there was Long Fei. On the way, he killed more than 10 people. They all broke their necks. With the experience increased by a little, the true qi recovered a little, but the striking energy value was filled up. Finally, they arrived outside the gigantic sword tomb. It was a huge cave, and written at the entrance of the cave were 2 incomparably sharp words, Sword Tomb. Seeing these 2 words, Long Fei's heart trembled, as though he felt some kind of intense sword intent attack him. Sister-in-law, 1-/ plus health, strongest upgrade system, very strong. Each stroke was filled with a strong power, just like a set of unfathomable sword technique. The more he looked at the 2 words Sword Tomb, the more shocked Long Fei was. Suddenly, Chapter 3. Thank you for becoming the 2nd Alliance Master of this book. Thank you, 8_8419/23 6590. Top of Xianjian Peak. Top of Xianjian Peak. A few old men riding on flying swords flew out from the summit and landed in the air above the sword tomb. One of them stroked his beard and said with a smile, "This year's disciples are all top talents of different places, so there should be a surprise." "I hope so." "Heaven Sex Hong Tianjun is too much of a pressure on us. The strongest person among the young generation of the southern domain. His strength has already reached the War Emperor realm. It can no longer be described as a genius anymore." An old man frowned. The other female elder slightly said, "Hong Wanjue is heavenly sect Master Hong Wanta's son. He is not powerful with the sword, nor is he talented in terms of potential, but rather the blood vein. I heard that he is hiding an extremely powerful blood vein in his body, and he has reached the War Emperor realm before the age of 20. Sigh. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's see what kind of special disciples we have this year. Perhaps among these 100,000 disciples, there might be one or two that are even fiercer than Hong Wanjue." A few elders looked at the disciples outside of the sword tomb. They all knew in their hearts that the number one genius of the South Horizon region, Hong Wanjue, was unrivaled even in the last several 100,000 years. In the entire South Horizon region, no one's talent could compare to Hong Wanjue's. Their hopes towards these 100,000 disciples were nothing more than empty words. They all knew in their hearts that no one could compare to Hong Lingtong. It was just that. They also wanted to find one or two talented disciples who could at least raise the sect's morale. This was because in the South Horizon region, the pressure that Hong Wanjue had given them was simply too great, and they couldn't withstand the pressure. Looking at the disciples below who were using up all their sword tomb, the four elders smiled bitterly. One of them said, "Sai, seems like it's even worse this year than last year. At least Zhou Tianyu was able to hold on last year. I'm afraid this year." If everyone is like Zhou elder Tianyu, pointed, then Long Fei, who was silently will be able to contend with the heaven sect. At this time, Long Fei had picked up a small branch towards the way of the sword. Has the other three reached an astonishing level. An elder said slightly, already a genius, they should be unable to squeeze in. How many Another people elder in the said, entire South Horizon region can compare to Look him. At him with his eyes closed, cultivate Zhou as if he's trying to comprehend in something. The future, there won't be any problems. What is he looking at? War Emperor realm. He's staring at least the two words. Earn some face for the Xinjiang sect. Suddenly, the four of them were a little disappointed with this year's their faces disciples sank because they said almost at the same time only knew about the assessment, something, and many people did not even know what their breaths was as they quietly looked at Long Fei. Just as they left extremely nervous, the female life and death were at stake. Wait, what do you think the youth is doing? Long Fei's mind rumbled. Which one? And then Long Fei picked up a tree branch from the ground and closed his eyes. It was also at this moment his mind was attracted by some kind of strong force, and Long Fei gave up on controlling it. With a swoosh, the power of his mind entered the word sword tomb. Schwa. Sword drawing arts. Schwa. Raise the sword. Broken sword style. When the solitary 9 swords was unleashed, It was completely out of Long Fei's control, and he could not help but unleash the sword technique. At the same time as he used it, the sharpness of the word sword tomb constantly appeared in his mind. This sharpness was like lifting something heavy as though it was light, but it was also like pulling up mountains and rivers. What is this? Long Fei could not help but ask. Where are we? This is the Sword Saint space. You are the first person to enter the Sword Saint space so far. An ancient voice resounded in the void. It was very special, as if the voice of someone who hadn't made a sound in a million years. Sword Saint space. Long Fei was startled. I am quite clear about Sword Saint E, but I don't know if he has the space or not. Cough, cough, cough. Even though this is the Sword Saint space, and my surname is E, I'm not a master. I'm a Sword Saint. Kid, since you were able to open the Sword Saint space, it shows that you have a very unique potential, and your understanding of the way of the sword is higher than ordinary people. I have stayed here for 1,000,000 years, and even the first-generation sect master of the Xianjian sect only left with a peerless divine sword, unable to open the Sword Saint space. The first-generation sect master of Xianjian sect. It seems like the legends are true. Long Fei immediately giggled. Senior, the Grandmaster of Xianjian sect did not open the Sword Saint space and obtain a supreme divine sword. If I open the Sword Saint space, would I get a reward of 10 peerless divine swords? Wow, 10, this is too exciting. 1 to Jojo, 1 to Lu Luoshi, 1 to Yi Zian, 1 to Xiao Tian Tian, 2 on his shoulders, 2 on his back, 2 in his hands, 10 divine swords, won't they beat you? I, your father, will smash you to death with my holy artifact. Long Fei started to become smug. No way. 1 exchange point is enough. If we go and catch the golden dragon, our days will be even better. Long Fei was excited again. The matter of him killing the golden dragon in one shot really made him nostalgic. The lottery system was too exciting. Just when he was about to marry those rich and beautiful ladies and walk towards the peak of his life, the Sword Saint suddenly shouted, "The supreme divine sword is gone." Then, Long Fei's beautiful dream shattered as she asked doubtfully, "You're the Sword Saint, right? If you don't have a peerless divine sword, there will definitely be other better holy artifacts. That would fit your identity as the Sword Saint, right? Even if you don't have a peerless divine sword, you should at least give it to me. What about a peerless divine blade?" The Sword Saint said, "No." Long Fei was a little unhappy. "I was the one who activated the Sword Saint space. There must be some other sword, right? Even if it wasn't a holy artifact, it was fine. Exchange points are also good. However," the Sword Saint said, "I don't have any more swords left." Long Fei stared at him with slanted eyes. He kept staring without moving, staring for more than 10 minutes. "Do you feel embarrassed? You should at least give me something now, right?" The Sword Saint replied, "None at all." Long Fei rolled his eyes and said, "Can't you play around?" The 4th chapter. Thank you, Tears of Qingcheng, for becoming the 2nd chief of this book. Thank you, 8_8419/2356591. Sword Saint space. Sword Saint space. It was simply a divine space. Long Fei thought that if he could obtain the peerless divine sword by not opening the Sword Saint space, then he would have obtained even more things when he opened the Sword Saint space. However, he was simply overthinking it. Long Fei said angrily, "You really don't have anything?" Sword Saint, "Nothing." "All right." Long Fei calmed himself down and suddenly shouted, "What did you bring me here for, without any holy artifact?" "Wasting my time. Goodbye." "No, I don't want to see her again." Long Fei turned and left. How infuriating. You're a master swordsman, after all. Even if you don't have the sword in your hand, you should at least give me some god-level skill like alpha, assault, or something. Otherwise, you can just give me a big move. After coaxing him for half a day, Long Fei had thought that he had obtained a peerless secret treasure, causing him to be excited for the greater part of the day. What a scam! Long Fei even had the heart to kill. Just as he was about to leave, the Sword Saint immediately said, "Little brother, don't be in such a hurry." Long Fei said angrily, "No, rush your sister." It was not easy for the Sword Saint to send someone over. He could not just let Long Fei go like this. Long Fei had waited for a whole 1,000,000 years for someone to arrive, so he immediately put on a fawning expression and said, "Little brother, I do not have a sister." "Long Fei," the Sword Saint hurriedly said, "I really don't have any more peerless divine swords. The fact that you were able to enter here proves that you have great talent in the way of the sword. Therefore, I am going to pass on the Sword Saint's legacy to you." Long Fei waved his hand and said, "I'm not interested. What I want is a peerless divine sword." "Wait, what did you just say? Sword Saint legacy? Is there an alpha assault? Do you have the great technique of Sword Saint, Highland bloodline?" The poison in Long Fei's game was too deep, so much so that even his face could not be seen through while wearing a helmet, and his hand holding onto a long sword appeared in his mind. The Sword Saint was a little confused. He shook his head. "No, I didn't. F***CK. Without these, what the heck are you inheriting? Come here, I'm going to leave this place." Long Fei immediately looked down on him. The Sword Saint protected Long Fei's thighs as he sobbed. "Don't be like this. I still haven't given you the Sword Saint's inheritance. Don't leave." "You're not letting go?" Long Fei didn't take this lying down. "If you don't let go of me now, I'm going to beat you up." The Sword Saint said, "If you kill me, I won't let you go. Unless you agree to accept my Sword Saint legacy, I definitely won't let you leave. You want to return the Sword Saint to him, like this. The Sword Saint's hammer is about the same." Long Fei scolded, "Hurry up and let go of me. I still have to take the assessment." Thinking of the examination, Zhang Xian's heart tightened. He only had 10,000 qualifications. If he missed it, then nothing else. He really did not want to disappoint Yuan Ling and her, nor did he want to fail the mission. One must know that was a special reward that he would get from Yuan Ling. This special reward couldn't be missed no matter what. Long Fei immediately shouted, "Let go of him. I won't let you off even if you beat me to death." The Sword Saint acted like a scoundrel and said, "Unless you explain the Sword Saint's legacy." 1,000,000 was too long. He didn't want to wait any longer. As long as Long Fei accepted the Sword Saint's legacy, he would be able to complete his mission and return to his world. "What about a Sword Saint like you?" Long Fei had a look of despise on his face, and since he was forced to the point where he had no other choice, he said, "All right then, hurry up. I don't have much time left." There was really no other way. Had never seen a Sword Saint like this before. It would be great if he could imagine the Sword Saint chopping up those apricots in the game. But the Sword Sage here, he was truly speechless. When Long Fei agreed, the Sword Saint crawled up immediately and said excitedly, "It won't take long before it's over. Sit down. Then empty your mind." Long Fei did as he was told. He didn't have time to explain further. All he wanted now was to end it quickly, and then through the sword tomb. Wang! Suddenly, in Long Fei's world, a shocking bolt of lightning. More accurately, it should be the astonishing sword intent that was as heavy as lightning as it struck at his mind. Long Fei's body sank and broke out in a cold sweat. However, fortunately he did not. Otherwise, Long Fei would have resisted instantly. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully fusing with Shocking Sword Spirit. You have gained 100 points of experience points 100 points of true chi, and 100 points of points. Boom! Yet another sword intent struck his mind. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 experience points from the fusion of Unity Sword Intent, 100 True Chi, and 100 points. Boom! Ding! Boom! Ding! Every time the sword intent struck down, a system notification would ring out. The 80 consecutive sword intents exploded in Long Fei's mind. The last one. Boom! Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 experience points from the fusion of Sword Saint Sword Intent, 100 True Chi, and 100 points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 81 sword intents. True Chi 100 points. Reward 100 points. 81 sword intents exploded consecutively. With every heavy blow, Long Fei's mind seemed to have received a kind of power. The sword intent churned in his mind as his comprehension of the way of the sword was raised to an extremely high realm in that short moment. The sword saint said, "The inheritance is complete." "Young man, what's your name?" Other than feeling his mind filled with sword intent, Long Fei did not feel any discomfort. He replied, "Long Fei." The sword sage said, "I hope that you can bring out the sword sage's true meaning to great heights. I'll be relying on you to continue the sword sage's legacy." "Long Fei, I will remember this name. I'll wait for you in another world." With that, he disappeared like a wisp of smoke, as though afraid that Long Fei would grab hold of some peerless divine sword. What other world? Hey! They really run fast. Long Fei mumbled. He still wanted to ask if the Sword Saint's legacy had any other special uses besides sword intent. He did not expect this fellow to run even faster than a dog. Huff! Long Fei exhaled and said, "Forget it, such a shameless Sword Saint would definitely not have anything good. I'm too lazy to bother with it." How could a Sword Saint fall to such a state? Long Fei did not believe it. Now that the Sword Saint was gone, he could leave the space as well. My test. Oh no, I hope there's still time. Long Fei was a little worried. After all, he had stayed in the Sword Saint's space for too long. http:// The moment he returned to the real world, he was stunned. There were no changes to his surroundings, and that was when his mind entered the Sword Saint space. Long Fei looked at the two words, Sword Tomb. It was also at this time. Ding. Chapter 5. Thank you, Tears of Qingcheng, for becoming the second alliance head of this book. Thank you. 8_8419/2356592. The system sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for comprehending the Holy Sword 81 moves. Do you wish to cultivate it? Long Fei was a little confused. Comprehending what? Holy Sword 81 moves. He only took a quick glance and instantly understood the sword technique hidden within the two words Sword Tomb. What kind of concept was this? Back then, when he did not have the Sword Saint's legacy, Long Fei had been looking at it for a whole few minutes, but he could not comprehend any sword techniques. And now he could comprehend the Holy Sword 81 moves in an instant. Cultivate. Long Fei was unable to react in time. Ding. Training successful. Long Fei opened up the skill system to have a look. Skill path. Holy Sword 81 moves grade. Divine level proficiency. Consumption. 1 strike points the true chi. Cooldown. None description. 9981 swords, 9981 transformations, 1 sword and 1 sword intent, ever-changing and unpredictable. Description 2. The power of Sword Saint's inheritance. Description 3. Cultivating the Great Perfection stage allows one to enter the Sword Saint mode. Looking at the system's description of the Holy Sword, 81 moves. Long Fei was a little stunned. 99 81 swords, 81 sword intents, 1 sword, awesome. Is this the inheritance of the Sword Saint? Holy sh*t. But 1 sword for 10,000 true chi s. 81 sword for 81,000 true chi s. When the f*ck, is this going to be able to display the complete set of sword technique? This is too darned. Long Fei was very unhappy about this. He only had 30,000 true chi s on him right now, which meant that when the value of the true chi was full, he could only unleash 30-odd swords. Over 300,000 true chi s could not even finish unleashing 1 set of sword technique. What the heck is this concept? Long Fei did not dare to imagine that it would be so terrifying. First level proficiency only has 10,000 points. How long is this training going to last? Long Fei said bitterly, I am afraid that I will never be able to enter Sword Saint mode again. Even though it was bitter. However, Long Fei was very clear that the harder it was to cultivate, the more ferocious its power was. I can be sure now, the Sword Saint's inheritance was extremely powerful, and the Holy Sword 81 moves was even much better than the peerless Divine Sword. Long Fei muttered, Why did you say such a good thing earlier? And why did you run so fast in the end? It's not like I'm going to eat him. Suddenly, Long Fei thought of a very important question. Exam! Damn, I almost forgot. As he spoke, he threw the branch in his hand towards the crowd and shouted, Look, there's a senior Sister Beauty taking off her clothes. Walala! Everyone immediately turned around and stopped. He looked around. Where is Senior Sister taking off her clothes? That grandson is lying. You will die a horrible death, and curse your son for having 2 assholes. f*ck. That's for your daughter's own good. You're too abnormal. Taking advantage of the moment they were distracted, Long Fei raised his speed to the limit and rushed into the cave of the Sword Tomb. At this moment, the 4 elders in the sky sighed, What a waste of time. My training hall would never accept such a cunning disciple. I had thought that he had realized something, but it turns out he is just a tease. Who brought this kind of disciple? He simply doesn't have the qualifications to participate in the Xianjian sect selection. Even if he becomes a disciple of the Xianjian sect, he would only embarrass the Xianjian sect in the future. Seems like this year's disciples are all trash. Sigh. The 3 elders' eyes were filled with scorn. They thought that Long Fei had comprehended something just by looking at the 2 words Sword Tomb, because they knew very well that if one's understanding of the way of the sword had reached a deep realm, one would be able to see many things from the 2 words Sword Tomb. For example, sword techniques or sword intent. Zhou Qianyu had comprehended a 9th grade Heaven Calamity sword art just from looking at the 2 words Sword Tomb last year. The moment Long Fei picked up the tree branch, their minds tensed up. The moment Long Fei threw the branch at the crowd, they were all disappointed and even cursed. The female elder stayed for a moment longer. As she watched Long Fei rush into the Sword Tomb, the space between her eyebrows slightly furrowed. Did you really manage to comprehend something? It doesn't look like it. The feeling he gave her was that Long Fei was not ordinary at all. She felt as if something had instantly appeared in Long Fei's body, because, in the past, she had also comprehended a secret technique, Sword Heart, in front of the 2 words Sword Tomb. Her perception of the power of the sword was much stronger than ordinary people, and she felt that Long Fei's body was very different. However, she couldn't tell what was different. She was just guessing. That's all. Maybe I was overthinking it. She laughed bitterly, raised her flying sword, and flew towards Xianjian sect. The next assessment was no longer important. Xianjian sect was a sect that trained in the way of the sword. And their comprehension in the way of the sword was especially important. The two words sword tomb in front of them was the best test. If no one could comprehend it, then it meant that the talent of the 100,000 disciples was only average. In the sword tomb, it was like another world. They were all mountains filled with swords, each one seemingly without end. When Long Fei stepped into the sword tomb, buzz, 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 buzz. The swords that filled the mountains were all emitting sword hums. They were all trembling because some sort of power seemed to have activated them. Long Fei also felt it and looked around at the sword mountains. His heart shivered. Damn, why do I feel like everyone is staring at me? This feeling was very special. It was a mountain full of swords, all sorts of swords. It was as if pairs of eyes were staring at Long Fei. Long Fei felt that if he moved, all of the swords would follow. Hurry up. More than 8,000 disciples have already left. We only have about 1,000 slots left. Everyone, hurry up and charge. Long Fei was shocked. He immediately recovered and was too lazy to think anymore. We'll talk after we pass the first round. Immediately. Teleport. Shwa. Long Fei rushed up the sword mountain, and the swords there started to sway frantically, making sounds of metal striking metal. 10 minutes later, Long Fei used all of his speed of drinking milk. Even when he was facing Hong Tianjun, he had never been in such a sorry state. He finally saw the exit. Long Fei's heart relaxed, and he rushed towards the exit. Several disciples were guarding the exit, and beside the exit was a huge black stone. The number of people who passed the sword tomb was displayed on the black stone. It was now more than 9,800. There were only 200 spots, and there were a few hundred in front of Long Fei. Too late. Long Fei could not care so much. With the release of his 5 fingers and 1 palm, he released a stream of power. Dozens of swords flew out and scattered throughout the sky. Everyone come and snatch the spirit sword. The sword on the mountain of swords was very special. When the disciples saw him, they immediately swarmed towards him like a swarm of bees. Long Fei laughed excitedly, and with a single step, he rushed to the exit to look at the number. I've finally caught up to the 999th place. It was also at this time, for official disciples blocked Long Fei's path and said, Kid, hand over the fare. Chapter 6. Thank you, Ching Ching's Tears, for becoming the second alliance head of this book. Thank you. Table of Contents 8_8419/2356593. This was the shocking sword spirit. This was the legacy of the sword saint. Long Fei did not see. He only knew that the holy sword 81 moves was extremely powerful, and the shocking sword spirit just now was even more brutal. However, he didn't have the mind to care about that right now. Right now, he needed to kill the demon beasts as soon as possible, because the second round of the exam had already begun. He was the last one to enter the hunting grounds. In other words, he only had a short amount of time. The 9,000 disciples in front of him might have already killed too many demon beasts. Of these 10,000 people, only 1,000 would be taken. He had to move faster, or else he really would. Think about the mission. Thinking about the look in Yuan Ling's eyes that was full of anticipation. No matter what, they couldn't lose. In another place, the matter of the sword tombs, closing soon spread to the Xianjian Peak. At the same time, the death of the 4 official disciples caused a sensation. The outer sect elders all quickly entered the sword tomb to check. Seeing the bodies of the 4 disciples split up, and each piece was as sharp as a knife, it was hard to understand why. Chen Lihu frowned and asked, could it be this sword mountain? The few elders looked at the surrounding Jianshan. Who could do such a thing? In terms of cultivation, this kind of cultivation method, this kind of strength was absolutely not something that an ordinary person could achieve. Not at all. The only possibility was that the sword tomb was doing something. Chun-Li asked solemnly, "Has anyone attacked them before?" No, no one. We are all here to participate. Who dares to fight against an official disciple? When we arrived, they were standing here. With a light bang, they fell to the ground. Their bodies split apart, so we didn't do anything. They told the truth. This was no trivial matter. Chun-Li also said slightly, "4 official disciples have mysteriously died. I think this matter is related to the sword tomb. Junior brothers, what do you think?" At this moment, one of the disciples said lightly, "I saw 4 senior fellow apprentices talking to one person, and it seems like they are having an argument. I wonder if their death has something to do with this." Chun-Li immediately took a step forward and asked, "Who are you bickering with?" That disciple said, "I don't know him either. I also know that he seems to be very arrogant and does not put the 4 senior fellow apprentices in his eyes at all." Chun-Li asked, "If I let you recognize it, would you recognize it?" The disciple did not immediately reply. Chun-Li said, "If you can recognize it, I will give you a special reward so that you can break the rules and become a Xianjian sect disciple." As soon as he finished, that person immediately replied, "Yes." The corner of Chun-Li's mouth raised slightly and said, "Okay, come with me later." Long Fei said, "Don't be afraid. I have clothes. I will help you put them on later." While they were talking, Long Fei glanced at the 2 black dates on the Poison Widow's name, pretended to take one on one, and on the other. Suddenly, Long Fei suddenly jumped and landed tens of meters away, laughing out loud. "You want to play with this, Daddy? With your looks, you're still a little lacking." The Poison Widow looked at a loss. "Big brother, what are you talking about? I don't understand at all." Long Fei laughed. "Stop pretending. On the way here, I saw a few people who were killed. The wounds on their bodies seemed to be a gentle blow. They definitely died by a woman's hands. Furthermore, the space ring on their bodies have all disappeared. You must be the murderer?" It was true that Long Fei liked beautiful women. It was also true that he was a virgin. It was also true that he could not resist the temptation. However, he was a very particular kind of person. He really didn't have any thoughts about the black wood ears like the Poison Widow. Furthermore, that kind of pretentious, bashful, and coquettish expression made him feel disgusted just by listening to it. But he would be a bastard if he didn't take advantage of the situation. The feeling of that pair of giant peaks wasn't bad. The Poison Widow's face darkened, and her expression returned to normal. She said coldly, "Since you know about it, then don't think about living on. #half/float*life. While they were talking, the Poison Widow took out a thorny whip from the space ring. Long Fei trembled slightly and laughed. "Wow, you really have a heavy taste. You like smirks, hee." The eyes of the Poison Widow grew even more sinister as they radiated killing intent. "You're courting death." Chapter 8, Tears of Qingcheng. Thank you for becoming the second Alliance head. 8_8419/2356595. With the matter exposed, the Poison Widow had nothing else to hide. With the matter exposed, the Poison Widow had nothing else to hide. The killing intent was dense. One step forward. With a sweep of the thorny whip, it directly wrapped around Xiang Longfei's neck. Long Fei sneered. "I had wanted to leave you some clothes, but since that's the case..." The long sword moved. A gentle stream of sword chi shot out. Shwa! It was pitch black as it smashed the last item on the Poison Widow's body into pieces. At the same time, Long Fei had already retreated more than 10 meters as he laughed. "I don't have any clothes on." The poison widow gritted her teeth in anger. You dog, I'm going to kill you. Kill me? Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed and then shouted out loud. Come quickly! Someone come quickly! There is a woman here who is not wearing any clothes. Quickly come and look! Beautiful woman, naked, come and look! Immediately, the forest was filled with discussions. Are there beauties that aren't wearing clothes? Let's go take a look. I have to go take a look. Is there such a good thing? Even if it's fake, we can't miss it. Bring me. A large group of people approached. Long Fei laughed playfully. You want to fight me with this kind of trick? You're too young, but your pair of breasts are still pretty good, just that they're a bit dark. Ha! Long Fei was not an idiot. To a woman, such dressing and such coquettish charm, it would be strange if she had no purpose. He liked beautiful women, but he was definitely not a person who would be unable to move his legs when he saw a woman. The poison widow was flustered and exasperated, gritting her teeth in anger as she angrily rebuked. Just you wait. I'll definitely show you what I can do. With that, he ran into the depths of the forest. Long Fei laughed. Don't run. Let's chat more. Didn't you want my life? And then Long Fei said loudly again, Brother from the east, be careful. A naked woman is running over. Half a minute later. Wow, as expected of a naked beauty. That Twin Peaks is too big. Who's getting the benefits? Thank you so much. Today, I finally know what surging waves means. Beautiful girl, do you want to play? Stole a chicken, but failed to eat the rice. The poison widow had fallen for it. However, since the exam wasn't over yet, she definitely wouldn't let it go. Long Fei did not pay any more attention to it. His goal was to hunt Sword Beast, and now that he had hunted more than 10 Sword Beast, this number was not enough to enter the top 1,000. Continue to kill. Long Fei went into the forest. In another place, a disciple walked over anxiously. Brother Zhou, I can roughly determine that brat's position. Zhou Tianyan was startled and said, All right, it's time to avenge my little brother. Long Fei, you brat, just wait to die. Immediately. Zhou Tianyan immediately ordered, form a circle around him and surround him. I will kill him myself to avenge my brother. Over 200 outer sect official disciples shouted in unison, yes. They were the elite of the outer sect and were also part of the Zhou family. He didn't dare to say much about dealing with others, but if he wanted to deal with a disciple in the assessment, wouldn't he have to do whatever he wanted? Playing with them in the palm of his hand. Night fell. Yuan Ling and Niu Dahai exited the sword tomb. It's over, Niu Dahai said with listless eyes. This time it is really over. Zhou Tianyan brought 300 disciples into the hunting grounds. This time. Boss, it's all my fault. If I hadn't instigated my boss to join the Shenzhen sect, he wouldn't have 300 official disciples. Adding the war master Reams, Zhou Tianyan, Long Fei was not even a match for him. Yuan Ling muttered, I want to enter the hunting grounds. Niu Dahai said, Enter? The sword tomb's exit is the only path that leads to the hunting grounds, and now that it's sealed off, it's impossible for us to enter. Yuan Ling muttered, I don't care, I must go in. It was as if he was causing trouble for no reason. Yuan Ling was really worried. She had never been worried about anyone before. It was the first time. This feeling was very special. Niu Dahai said, I also want to go in, but it's simply impossible. Right now, the only way is to find an inner court elder and have him stop Zhou Tianyan from making a move. This is boss's only chance of survival. Yuan Ling's eyes trembled, and he immediately said while looking at Niu Dahai, Hurry up and go. Let's go find the elder. If an elder can fly on a sword, he will definitely be able to enter the hunting grounds to stop Zhou Tianyan. He will definitely be able to. While they were talking, Yuan Ling ran towards the Xianjian peak. No matter what, she had to save Long Fei, because it was she who instigated Long Fei to take the examination, and she also required him to definitely pass it. Now she regretted it. Very regretful. Niu Dahai also anxiously chased after him, and thought, even if you have to pay any price, you have to stop Zhou Tianyun. In the outer sect, Chun Lihu had the most authority. It was like covering the sky with one hand. He had already been bribed by the Zhou family, so the only way to stop Zhou Tianyun from making a move was to find an inner sect elder to have him intervene. Thus, Niu Dahai and Yuan Ling headed straight to the inner sect mountain peak. At the inner door, he was stopped by 2 sect guards. This place is not accessible to the outer disciples. Leave. Niu Dahai tried to curry favor with him. Senior fellow apprentice, please let us in. I have something important to report to the elders. One of the disciples shouted, You are an outer sect disciple. If you have any problems, just report them to the outer sect elders. Our inner sect elders are not interested in any of your trivial matters. He had an arrogant expression on his face. He was an inner court disciple, and from the bottom of his heart, he looked down on outer court disciples that were trash. Niu Dahai was incomparably anxious. Yuan Ling also said with a begging tone, Please give me some time, both senior fellow apprentice, to get rid of me. No way. Both of them shouted at the same time. Niu Dahai's violent temper rose. Fuck you, you're just giving me face, aren't you? I do not believe that you, a mere gatekeeper, will be so strong. As he spoke, he was about to charge forward. It was also at this time. An elder walked up and coldly snorted, What happened? The inner sect disciple immediately saluted and said, Greetings, Elder Wu. These 2 outer sect disciples are about to enter the inner sect. Niu Dahai immediately said, We have something important to report. Something big will happen if we're late. Wu Haowu asked slightly, What's the big deal? Yuan Ling said, In order to avenge our personal grudges, the Zhou family has used the 300 outer sect disciples to attack an assessment disciple. I hope that Elder Wu can stop us. Huh? Is there such a thing? Wu Haowu's eyes darkened and asked, Do you have any evidence? Evidence? Niu Dahai stared blankly for a moment and said, Zhou Tianyun personally told us, moreover. Even outer sect Elder Chenlihu was bribed by the Zhou family. Ha ha ha. The 2 inner court disciples laughed and said, Who would say it out loud after killing someone? Is my brain damaged? Chapter 9, Tears of Qingcheng. Thank you for becoming the 2nd Alliance Master of this book. 8_8419/2356596. The 2 of them laughed out loud. Evidence. There was no evidence at all. Niu Dahai said anxiously, What I said was true. Elder, please stop it. That disciple who is taking the examination possesses a level of talent. He is extremely powerful. He can even kill a level 8 demon beast by himself. He is the most powerful person I have ever seen. Elder, I beg you. Wu Haowu said slightly, You have no proof. How can I believe it? In a situation where you don't have any proof, slandering an outer sect elder is a violation of the sect rules. Niu Dahai said, I really did not lie to you. I saw it with my own eyes. Elder, please help me. While they were talking, Niu Dahai could not care so much. With a putong sound, he kneeled down heavily and said, I kowtow to you, please stop it. Wu Hao's face turned cold and shouted, Nonsense! You don't have any evidence. Just say that the people of the Zhou family are avenging their personal grudges, and even asked me to stop the assessment. What should we do with the other disciples? Have you thought about it? No way. Absolutely not. Wu Haowu said, heavily. Plop. Yuan Ling also knelt down and said, Elder Wu, I beg of you, please think of a way. Wu Haowu frowned slightly, stroked his beard, and with a look of embarrassment, he said, "It's impossible to stop the assessment, but if I have to save someone, there shouldn't be a problem." But Wu Haowu's small eyes turned slightly. Yuan Ling did not hesitate and directly handed over his sword, and said, "This is a profound ranked 9 spirit sword. I brought it out from the sword tomb. Please accept it." Wu Haowu accepted it, looked at the sword, and said, "Swords are not bad, but this is not enough for me to take action." Obviously, he wanted something better. Niu Dahai clenched his teeth, took out the fire knife that Long Fei gave him, and said, "This blade should be enough, right?" In order to save Long Fei, he took out his most precious thing. Yuan Ling grabbed Niu Dahai's arm and shook his head. Niu Dahai replied, "It's fine, no matter how good a weapon is. It's just a thing. If something happens to boss, I will never forgive myself." Long Fei had saved him before. Moreover, he acted like Yuan Ba, the only one who treated him as a human being. No one in the Xianjian sect saw him as a human being. He was extremely grateful that Long Fei was following him to the Xianjian sect. Then again, he had been empty-handed before, and he was used to the days when he was unarmed. When Wu Haowu saw the fire knife, both of his eyes shone brightly, as if he saw a beauty who had come out all over. He was extremely excited. Heaven-ranked magic weapon. Even in Xianjian sect, there aren't that many. Niu Dahai asked, "Elder Wu, can you really save my boss?" Wu Haowu shouted, "Do you want me to save him?" "I guess the rescue is coming soon, but if it's too late, maybe." Niu Dahai did not hesitate at all, and immediately handed it over, and said, "Then you can go now." Wu Haowu controlled the excitement in his heart and carefully looked at the fire knife. "Good blade, good blade. This blade is at least a heaven stage magic weapon." Ha ha ha. It was also at this time Chun-Li who walked out. Ha ha ha. Zhou Yuanhe also walked out and started laughing loudly at the same time. He was tricked. They were in the same group. Niu Dahai immediately flew over, wanting to snatch the 2 weapons back. However, without waiting for him to pounce on her, he was kicked flying by Wu Haowu. He snorted coldly and said, "Niu Dahai, you actually dared to sneak attack an elder. You are guilty of a crime and should be killed." Niu Dahai spat out a large mouthful of blood and scolded with incomparable fury, "Scoundrel, F*CK, your ancestor, give me the fire knife." Yuan Ling's face was also filled with anger. He had been tricked. He was thoroughly tricked. She had never thought that an inner sect elder would actually be hooked up with Zhou Yuanhe. From the very beginning, Zhou Yuanhe and Chun-Li had been listening from the shadows. From the very beginning, they had been in the same group. The Zhou family's influence was not only limited to the outer sect, but the inner sect also had people. Wu Haowu said, "Blade? What knife? Did you give me a knife? Why can't I remember? Did you see that?" The 2 gatekeepers shook their heads. "I only saw him sneak attack you. I didn't see him give you a knife." Wu Haowu had a complacent smile on his face and said, "Did you hear that? I don't have any knife with you. You fat pig. You better respect me a little when you talk." Niu Dahai was enraged. He almost lost his mind and rushed forward. "Give me back my blade." This was the blade Long Fei had given him. He wanted to rely on this blade to revitalize the artifact forging hall. However, it's been set up now. Niu Dahai rushed forward, but this time it was Chun-Li who made a move. With a flick of his fingers, he chopped down with his palm and shouted, "You slandered me! Who do you think you are?" Bam! A palm struck Niu Dahai's chest. Niu Dahai's body continuously flipped in midair and heavily smashed onto the ground. Boom! Niu Dahai continuously spat out black blood. His face was extremely pale, his eyes were sinister as he stared at the three of them, and said, "Give me back my blade! Give me back my blade!" Yuan Ling's expression was also extremely cold. There was nothing to be done. The cultivation bases of the two elders were much higher than theirs. Yuan Ling grabbed Niu Dahai, who still wanted to rush up to him, and said, "Senior fellow apprentice Niu, if he struck again, he would die here." Chun-Li, who was planning to kill him just now, if Niu Dahai were to rush up again, he would definitely die. Niu Dahai was unwilling to accept this. He was extremely unwilling to accept this outcome. However, they were too weak. Zhou Yuanhe laughed coldly and said, "You two trash want to fight me? You don't even have the right. Do you understand? Don't worry, after that kid dies. It'll be your turn." Zhou Yuanhe laughed. He had long since arranged everything. Adding Zhou Tianyu's influence, the entire Xianjian sect would help him. With just Long Fei, who was still in the assessment, how could he fight against him? Fighting with him was tantamount to fighting with the entire Xianjian sect. You have to know that Zhou Tianyu is a sect master's secret disciple. Yuan Ling said in a heavy voice, "If Long Fei killed all of them." It was a cold sentence. The three of them looked at each other and laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha." With just him. Zhou Yuanhe laughed. Just because he is a trash with a pubis that has been shattered, his tendons and veins congealed, and his dragon blood activation is 0, just based on these. Ha ha ha. Are you talking in your sleep? This kind of trash wants to harm 300 official disciples. You guys really think too much. Just tonight, he had gathered information on Long Fei. Zhou Yuanhe never fought battles with no confidence. He would even investigate after killing an ant, and treat Long Fei the same way. Yuan Ling asked again, if Long Fei killed all of them. This time, Chun-Li laughed coldly. Then he's really amazing. Such a talent would naturally become a disciple of the Xianjian sect. But he seems to be a trash. Ha ha. Yuan Ling's voice became even colder, and he asked again. This time, he looked at Wu Haowu and said, "What if he kills everyone?" Wu Haowu said impatiently, "We will not pursue any responsibility." Caret, half, /float* life. Yuan Ling's gaze turned sinister as he said coldly, "Then just wait to collect their corpses." At this moment, Long Fei was surrounded by 300 outer sect disciples. Thank you, brothers, for your tips and support on the subscription. Hai Yang is extremely grateful. 8_8419/2356597. Long Fei was surrounded. Long Fei was surrounded. The 300 outer court disciples surrounded him so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Long Fei trembled slightly and said, "So it turns out that the 300 outer sect disciples were there to deal with me." He thought that the Zhou family would attack him, but he did not expect them to send so many people against him. A total of 300 outer court disciples. The power of the Zhou family in the Xianjian sect was not small at all. They had sent so many people to deal with him. However, Long Fei was not the least bit afraid. On the contrary, he was a little excited. Why? Because 300 elite disciples, that was a huge amount of experience. A large wave of true chi value. He was worried about not being able to find any demonic beasts to kill and replenish his true chi value. From the looks of it, he did not need to worry too much about it. Zhou Tianyun gave a cold laugh. "Kid, you killed my brother and stole my brother's lightning dragon secret treasure, yet you still dare to come to the Xianjian sect. I can't help but admire you. Where did your courage come from? Hand over the secret treasure of the Thunder Dragon. I will leave an intact corpse for you today." secret treasure of the Thunder Dragon. This was the true purpose of the Zhou family. Why did Zhou Yuanhe spend so much on an examination disciple? It was for the Thunder Dragon Temple's secret treasure. If Niu Dahai and the other two could get out safely, with the collapse of the Thunder Dragon Temple, it would be sufficient to say that Long Fei had obtained the secret treasure of the Thunder Dragon Temple. As long as he obtained the secret treasure of the Thunder Dragon, his Zhou family's power would definitely rise to another level. This was the reason why Zhou Yuanhe had to spend so much. Long Fei was startled for a moment and said, "Thunder Dragon Temple's treasure trove." Zhou Qianyun's eyes turned sinister as he said, "What? You can't say you didn't get it, right? It is very clear that the treasure deposit has been taken by you. The treasure deposit that should have belonged to my Zhou family was taken by you now. And anyone who dares to steal from my Zhou family, no one can live. Give it to me honestly. I will give you a quick death." They were sure that the secret treasure was on Long Fei. Long Fei swept a glance across everyone and said, "The treasure is indeed on me. What do you want?" "Holy artifact." While they were talking, Long Fei then took out the Thunder Dragon Rod, and with a sudden drop, he landed on the ground and laughed. "Holy artifact, Thunder Dragon Rod. Do you want it? Come and get it." 8 thunder dragons facing the sky, their entire bodies exuding the aura of holy artifact. The eyes of the 300 disciples all became cold as a light of greed flashed in their eyes. A holy artifact. This is the first time I've seen a holy artifact. The 8 dragons' dawn pearl is filled with the power of thunder. What a powerful force. It's really a holy artifact. Just as they were discussing, Feier's voice traveled into Long Fei's mind, and she said, "Big brother Long Fei, I don't like them." Long Fei said with the sound transmission, "You don't like them? That's easy to do. Just wait for you to get angry to your heart's content." He. Feier smiled mischievously and nodded. "Yes, I'll turn them all into charcoal later." "Charcoal? Ha ha ha. Good idea." Long Fei was a little looking forward to it. Holy artifact and normal spirit treasures were different. Just the aura itself was different. The holy artifact's aura was extremely rich, and the stronger the holy artifact, the thicker its aura. Zhou Tianyun was shocked. He did not expect Long Fei to be so conscious, as he directly took out the holy artifact and said complacently, "Brat, consider yourself sensible. Hand over the holy artifact, and I will leave an intact corpse for you." Long Fei laughed and said, "Come and take it. Come and get it if you dare." Long Fei looked at Zhou Tianyun with a smile and thought, 300 outer sect disciples should be able to replenish their true chi-s, right? Zhou Tianyun's gaze turned sinister as he scoffed. "Are you still planning on playing any tricks?" Long Fei said with disdain, "It's just a little trick on your head. My holy artifact is already here. If you have the guts, come up and take it." "Take? Such a good thing?" Not to mention Zhou Tianyun. Even the surrounding ordinary disciples all revealed looks of doubt. This was a holy artifact. You took it out just like that, not resisting at all. Not even ghosts believed it. Without waiting for Zhou Tianyun to speak, Long Fei sneered and said, "You don't dare to take it? If you don't dare to come up and take it, then you don't have to say anything. Scram to the side." Long Fei cursed in disdain. "You don't even have the guts to come up and ask for holy artifact with your current appearance. You're worse than your brother, you piece of trash." Arrogant to the extreme, it was as if the 300 disciples were surrounded by him instead of the 300 disciples. Zhou Qianyun's face was ugly, his fists clenched tightly. He said to a disciple beside him, "Go and get it for me." Without waiting for that disciple to come forward, Long Fei said with disdain, "You really are trash, and even one of the 3 great geniuses of the outer sect. In my opinion, It's just a pile of dog poop. Kid, don't be too arrogant. Zhou Tianyin shouted. Long Fei grinned. I'm being arrogant. What can you do to me? Huh, Zhou Tianyin bellowed. Let's see how long you can be so arrogant for. Everyone listen. Let's attack together. After obtaining the holy artifact, I, Zhou Tianyin, will definitely not treat you all unfairly. My Zhou family will definitely not treat you all unfairly. He didn't dare to go up. They really did not dare to go up because that was a holy artifact. He didn't have absolute confidence. When everyone heard this, they all stepped forward. No matter what, touching a holy artifact would blow their air for the rest of their lives, at least once. 300 people swiftly walked over. The circle was getting smaller. After sensing for a bit, 300 disciples gradually entered the attacking range of the Thunder Dragon Rod, pretended to be afraid, and said, Zhou Tianyin, you're a coward. You didn't dare come yourself, and actually allowed so many people to come. Zhou Tianyin looked at Long Fei's expression of feigned fear and laughed. Ha ha! Arrogant! Why are you still acting arrogant? Why are you so scared now? Fight with me. Trash! Why don't you take a piss and take good care of yourself? What qualifications do you have to fight with me? This is my Zhou family's territory. You understand? He began to feel smug. Because Long Fei was afraid, he determined that the Thunder Dragon Rod must be strange, but no matter how strange it was impossible for it to kill so many people. Ha ha ha. Brat, you don't have any cards left to play this time, do you? The holy artifact belongs to my Zhou family. Zhou Tianyin laughed proudly. The encirclement was getting smaller. In the end, there was only a circle less than 2 meters wide. Everyone stared at Long Fei coldly, looking at him with expressions of disdain. Trash! Hand the holy artifact over. Hand it over. You think you're worthy of having a holy artifact like that. Not qualified at all. It was also at this time that Long Fei asked, Fair, are you ready? Sister-in-law, 1-/ plus health, strongest upgrade system, Fayer said. Fei is always ready. That's good. And then, Long Fei's forehead turned sinister as his true chi surged. He grabbed onto the Thunder Dragon Rod with one hand and roared towards the sky. Fury of the Thunder! Roll! The first chapter, the recommended friend book, is the same as the system's Level Devour system. Those who like it can take a look. 8_8419/2356598. True Chi was activated. True Chi was activated. Link to Thunder Dragon Rod. In that instant, it was as if the 8 Thunder Dragons had been resurrected. They let out a dragon's roar and rushed into the sky. A huge thundercloud appeared out of nowhere in the sky, forming a lightning field. Angry, Long Fei was startled and burst with power. Shwa! The Thunder Dragon rushed into the thundercloud, rolling about. Crack! Bam! Thick as a bucket of lightning struck down, and a disciple directly evaporated from the world. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing. Outer Sect disciple for obtaining 700 experience, 800 true chi, and 100 energy values. And then, kacha, 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 lightning crackled down in a frenzy. Moreover, the second bolt of lightning suddenly changed, and Feier's spiritual energy surged into the lightning. Ding! Touched the Thunder Dragon Rod's hidden skill, Fury of the Elves. It was as if Feier was holding onto a magic staff and had 2 long ponytails, looking just like a beautiful young lady from The Warrior. Holding onto a magic staff, she mischievously said, I represent the Thunder God in annihilating you. I'm going to turn you all into charcoal. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Asterisk, the 8 dragons were enraged. thunder rumbled, and the incomparably thick lightning became even more powerful. Anyone that struck would be killed instantly. Moreover, this time, there was no sign of the human world evaporating. Instead, it had become charcoal. It was like a piece of human charcoal. Ding, ding, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Outer Sect Disciple for obtaining 700 experience, 800 true chi, and 100 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Outer Sect Disciple for obtaining 700 experience, 800 true chi, and 100 energy values. Congratulations. The system beep was like firecrackers crackling nonstop. This feeling was simply too great. His experience points was increasing rapidly, while the value of his true chi was increasing rapidly. The 300 disciples in the lightning field had all turned into black charcoal. Help! Boom! Spare me! I'm just here to try my luck. Give me a way out. The end of the world. Save us. A wave of ghastly wails and wolf howls resounded through the air as they desperately rushed towards the outside. However, compared to the speed of the lightning, their speed was so unbearably fast that it seemed weak. Feyre waved the magic wand within the pearl. All of you will turn into charcoal. Feyre hates you. Humph, humph. Long Fei laughed and said, I also hate them. He must kill anyone who deserved to be killed. In less than a minute, the 8 dragons returned to their positions. The thunder dragon rod's aura calmed down, and more than 200 black charcoal statues appeared around Long Fei. None of them escaped. Only Zhou Tianyun remained outside the minefield. Zhou Tianyun saw that Long Fei had stopped and immediately said, If you kill me, all of them will die. If you let me go, I'll let them go. As long as he was alive, anything was fine. Seeing that Long Fei did not react, Zhou Tianyun's expression recovered its arrogance and said, Long Fei, you better be tactful. Their lives are in my hands. If you dare touch a single hair on my head, the Zhou family will immediately kill them. Not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei's arms exploded. The power of the mountain hit fist, and the godly force of his right arm burst out as he slashed his blade downwards. Shwa! Zhou Tianyun's body split into 2 and immediately exploded outwards. The 2 halves of his body were separated by 100 meters. It was incomparably cruel. Long Fei's gaze darkened as he said coldly, It's fine if you don't want to say it, but if you do, your father is burning with anger. Long Fei raised his eyes slightly, looked at the Xianjian peak in the clouds, and muttered, If anyone dares to touch my brother, I will screw over all 18 generations of his ancestors. Show family. If you have the guts, then try it. He was furious. It didn't matter if they touched him, but they couldn't do it to his brother, especially the Lubi Yuan Ba. He was too retarded, and he was just adamant that when he returned to the Zhou mansion, he would definitely. Furthermore, what he was most worried about was that Yuan Ba would foolishly agree to some of his ruthless conditions. Long Fei clenched both his fists tightly and said with regret in his heart, We shouldn't have let him leave yesterday. I'm afraid this time. Zhou clan, you better not touch him. If you do, I'll definitely wipe out your entire clan. The second chapter recommends the friend book, Most Respected Life, to like, can support. 8_8419/2356599. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.